Hey guys, this is Tony Vicinda from Plus One EXP. We are a brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. We are here live to explore some magic and shit with Levi Combs from Planet X Games. I'm going to let Levi tell you more about that in just 1 second. But you can find us across all social media platforms at Plus One EXP. Our entire hope is to help showcase some of the best and most creative projects in indie tabletop design. Sometimes that's emerging storytelling games, which we played a lot of this last week and have some coming up this week. Other times it's phenomenal OSR systems, new modules. We've got a couple people who have been here with us before, but some of them in new context. I want to let you get to know them. Joining us again this time, but for the first time, you're able to actually see his face. We have Dean. Dean, tell people who you are, what you do, and how they can find you online.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dean. I really don't do much at the moment. I kind of just putter online. But if you want to find me and follow me on my social medias, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at GEKUS Dean. Just Geekus Dean, pretty simple.
There we go. And then we have coming back for the second time, but for the first time as a player. Last time he was trying to kill us in his meat grinder system, the Dark Peaks. We have Kieran joining us again, all the way from Malaysia. It's a totally different time in the world for him. It's a totally different day in the world for him. Kieran, tell people who you are, what you do, and how they can find you online.
All right, so my name is Kieran. I run the Dark Peaks, which is an indie publishing company. We produce D&D modules. We produce independent games. At the moment, our great game is the Dark Peaks Deepmore, which is available on DriveThruRPG. And you can come and chat to me on @TalesPeaks via Twitter or TalesPeaks on Facebook. Yeah.
There you go. And then the man, the myth, the legend from Planet X, we have Levi Combs coming at us. Hey, Levi, how's it going tonight?
Oh, great, man.
So you're going to be running us through, or you're going to be running us through a different adventure. Tell us a little bit about the adventure that you're using, and then tell us a little bit about Magic and Shit, which is the project that you guys have live on Kickstarter right now.
So Magic and Shit is a zine. It's a fanzine, and it's kind of like, gosh, the feel and aesthetic are kind of taken straight away from. It was all the stuff was influenced by our favorite metal bands. There's a little bit of Priest in there, a little bit of a little bit of Howlin' for Vengeance, and a little Sabbath, little Metallica, little Maiden. It's a gosh, where to start? 30 plus magical items and artifacts spread out over the entire zine. Fantastic art by Adrian Landeros. Some great art by Lawrence Hernandez, who also did the cover. And Lawrence is my best friend. We've been friends since we were in high school, and it was really his cover to the whole thing that inspired the zine. We got together, and by the end of it, man, the butter was just dripping from the pen. It was it was really good stuff, man. We were having a good time. But as far as the adventure that we're playing tonight, it's called The Lonely Curse of Roma Affinity. And I don't want to give too much away, but listening to you guys talk about your character choices earlier, I think we're gonna be spot on.
Awesome. And with that said, we are playing a system called Down We Go, which was actually created by another member of the Plus One crew. Before they were on the Plus One crew, we got to play test it live here for the first time ever. It's part of our Swedish contingent. Marcus, and I would butcher his last name if I tried to just remember it right now. He wrote the system. It is a minimalist RPG. It is half a page for players, a couple pages for the GM, but the GM can actually run you through pretty much whatever they want, because all the rolls are made by the player except for initiative and luck rolls, which the GM can make or he can have us make as well. So it's very, very simple. So Levi's just going to run us through. Anytime, if there's ever a mechanical question, we'll all talk about it and we'll figure it out. But there's basically 4 roles that we have that we could have put levels into: sneaky, mystical, holy, and bloodthirsty. So I've got a bloodthirsty character who's kind of sneaky. Kieran, what's your character? Tell us your character's name and what they do while I figure out what my character's name is.
Oh, you're gonna do that to me? You're gonna ask me for the
Well,
names
there's names
first?
at the top. I mean, you're a whole day ahead of the rest of us. You should have had plenty of time to figure it out.
Okay. My character's name is Rapina. Yes, their name is Rapina, and I didn't just make that up right now. I didn't just make that up. They are holy, I guess. They are bloodthirsty, so I'm imagining a sort of paladin-style character. Big armor, large pauldrons, metal singer hair, like long blonde hair, sort of imagine like a Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden style character. Same sort of bombast, run for the hills kind of thing. He's got a bunch. He's got a bunch of potions. He doesn't know what they do. He's got some armor, and of course, he's got a sword, which is on fire. You know, you couldn't have an electric guitar, but I could have a sword that's on fire. So there you go.
Does it get more metal than that?
Actually, I'm going to change the name very slightly. I think Rapine is better. Yeah, Bruce Rapine.
Bruce Rapine. All right, Dean, tell us a little bit about your character, who they are, what they can do.
Well, the character's name is simply Borba. That's it. Just Borba. He's a rather big fellow. I've got about 3 points in Bloodthirsty and 2 in Mystical. I would imagine armor-wise, it's similar, like akin to what's the name of this metal band? I have a hard time remembering them, but their aesthetic is like demon aliens from space.
War.
Thank you. I could not remember the name. It's a very war aesthetic to the character, is what I imagine. And I even have like a +1 axe. I didn't know I could give it abilities. Let's say it has lightning on it, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
My character Thrag, he has points in Bloodthirsty also too, and I took some points in Sneaky. So we've got a bunch of cross-class characters here. Heavy focus on hitting folks, and I think I've got a Cloak of Shadows, and other than that, it's just leather straps and a loincloth with some pouches on it. And you know, some gear stowed in the back. That's it.
I thought you'd be going Lemmy style and just have a pair of cut-off jean shorts.
You know what? Let's go cut off jean shorts. Let's do it. I'm all about it. They're actually that I do have a cloak, and it is like resplendent with shadow, but so are my jean shorts. They're black, slightly faded denim jean shorts that are definitely tattered at the bottom and definitely are imbued with shadow as well. So I love that feel. So. So yeah, other than that, if you guys are familiar with how, old school D&D works, we'll roll some D20s. We've got a simple D6 initiative and kind of skill process. Leveling, we're not going to have to worry about it all. We're going to try to survive, but also if we die, there's a second character sheet on the same page. And so we'll just, somebody else will walk into the dungeon shortly thereafter and help us out. So
the bass player or the drummer, I assume.
Yeah, that's right.
Always the trainer, yeah.
So, with that said, really quickly, just so everybody knows, we use lines, veils, and the X card for safety on the channel, just to make sure everybody's comfortable with everything that's happening. We have a hard line against sexual violence on the channel. Anytime somebody's uncomfortable, they can use, say X, type X into the chat, whatever they want to let them know. It could just be something that's going to be distracting for them, or it could be something that's problematic. We need to stop, pause, discuss, and then move forward. I don't think there's any necessary particular trigger warnings that we would provide, other than this is going to be an old school metal dungeon crawl feel, so just be prepared for that, and we hope you're here for it. That said, does anybody
anything about a dungeon,
or I guess point crawl, could be sewer crawl, who knows? We're gonna crawl around at some point. Just real quick, does anybody have, besides that, lines are things that may happen in the world but our game doesn't particularly focus on? Veils are things that when they happen, we just kind of say what happened and then we kind of move forward. We don't kind of dwell on them. Also, if in particular, if you have a specific type of injury that bothers you, like certain things getting hurt, which eyes, guts, brains, and teeth are the ones that will sometimes come up. Go ahead and say that, so when Levi's describing how we get disemboweled, he can know how explicit to be or not. So any lines, veils, or wound cautions people want?
I would suggest that I don't want to hear about I don't want people's teeth getting knocked. Like, I don't want to hear like gory mouth injuries. I have a thing about teeth, so please no. I don't mind like you hit them in the mouth,
So
but like please don't talk about like molars
a
shattering.
veil on
stuff,
tooth injuries, a veil on tooth injuries, but no explicit dentistry. That's the line we're drawing. So.
Also dentists.
Dentists in general.
Dentist. I'm British. We don't do dentists.
No little shop of horror montages in the middle. Dean, anything from you?
No, I think we should be fine. I'm pretty good.
Okay. And then Levi, anything you want to add to that?
No, not at all.
All right, there you go.
Not in the least.
All right. With that said, I'm just going to hand things over to you and let you take us into this cursed place.
All right. Again, the adventure is called The Lonely Curse. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to suggest that, given what our characters are like, and given that it's a metal setting, I feel like we need a band name, and I was going to go with Iron Angels or Subtlety Optional.
That's up to you guys.
That's good. Do you have I love
Does anyone
both.
have an opinion on this?
I love both of those. If you're watching right now and you want to kick in a potential name, you absolutely can. Dean, do you have a preference between Subtly Optional and Iron Angels?
The Denim Road Crew.
The Denim Road Crew. Because they can also just be names of our albums in the future, also too. If we don't pick it as the band name, that's the best part about it. I like Iron Angels. I think overall, out of all those, and like I said, this can be our first album, Subtly Optional. Hopefully, we come back for a repeat performance. Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. I'm down there. First album.
All right. Again, the name of the adventure is called The Lonely Curse of Roma Finnerty. So it starts out on the hinterlands. You're at the edges of society. You've got the wild reaches where all the monsters dwell, where the mountains run high and the streams run fast and everything is wild and untamed. And on the edge of that, you have the wilderlands, the hinterlands, the sparsely populated edge of civilization. And you guys are at a place called Deadfellows. Now the road with all the caravans go down, it dead ends right at Deadfellows. It doesn't go any farther than that. Straight up to Deadfellows, and that's it. That's where you turn around, because to go any farther, hey man, we can't help you if you go any farther. And Deadfellows, it's not like a big town or a hub of trade or anything. This is more like a kind of a rundown little Alaskan town out in the middle of nowhere. You got snow on the ground, thick fogs in the morning, and it's all loggers and timber and frontier supply. Trappers and things like that. This is again where the road ends. This is where everybody resupplies, comes on back. And Deadfellows, again, not much of a town. You got your log cabins, you've got your horse stables, and a few little places here and there, but not a happening joint. Not really the kind of place where things are a lot of things are going down. But the three of you have found yourselves here at the end of the road, on the edge of the hinterlands, kind of contemplating your next move. Your seasoned adventurers, the Iron Angels, they're starting to gain notoriety amongst the folks of the Wilderlands. So you've holed yourself up in a little place called the Paradin's Heart. So the sign outside is a winged beast feasting on a heart. No name, but that's the sign. It's the Paradin's Heart. And that's another one of those little ramshackle kind of rundown, again, like a Alaskan log cabin, with some. Have you ever seen the Hateful Eight? Where they shack up in the Hateful Eight. That's the kind of like little place that you're holed up in. And there's a little motley, group of characters in there, and an innkeeper and a wagon master, and a couple other folks. But for the most part, everything's kind of chill. you find yourself sitting at the table with this fellow. He's a wagon master, Wagon Master Horthol. And you find yourself basically just sitting around swapping tales, stories on the road, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I wait till Porthol just tells another one of his excellent stories, and then I respond with a and take a deep long pull out of a tankard that has a dark kind of scuzzy substance floating in it. It's what passes for alcohol here at the end of the road. And so,
listen, Horthol, he looks like every roadie that came off of a Motorhead world tour after 7 years. He's got a great big beer belly on him. He's rings on every finger. He's big lamb chop sideburns and the long mustache that hangs down. But he's despite his appearance, he's a very affable fellow, and he's the drinks are flowing, back and forth. He's like, again, he's very affable. He's a likable guy. And he's just bandying about stories about this and that, and so on and so forth. Again, you're going way, way, way into the night. Where as you guys throw back tankard after tankard, and they're bringing over a little bit of split hair. They're bringing over a little bit of moose meat on a skewer. It's it's not a bad time.
Tony, I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of your character. You told me.
His name is Thrag.
Thrag.
Like Thrag.
I'm going to look at Porthol and say, yeah, like my friend Tony just said, like my friend Thrag just said, we're looking for some work in this town. It's been a long time. We haven't seen much in the way of monsters or coin for many a day. So what do you say, Porthol? You want to help us out with that?
He gives you a great big belly laugh. He's like, I'm practically broke. I don't have enough money to barely get back to where I'm headed. I mean, this is the end of the road, fellas. I don't know what to tell you. I said, you either head on in there into the wilderness, or you can fight for your supper with me on the way back. But I don't have anything for you. And with that, he drains the last of his tankard, and he bids everybody a farewell, and he heads on the back to his room. You guys are just kind of like, well, I kind of thought that was going to be. I thought there was more to that, man. I thought we were working towards something, and just kind of staring at each other. And, Borby, you notice a rather timid fellow there at the very end of the bar. You notice he's kind of watching you guys. Again, kind of a small guy, a little bit of kind of mousy. And he sees that you're taking notes of him, and he's like, sirs, if I could just one. Because you're a very intimidating bunch. This is a fellow who looks like maybe he cleans latrines for a living, or is a turnip farmer or something. He's very, he's not looks like Larry, Daryl, and Daryl from the old Newhart show. One of those kind of guys. He's not he's not wearing armor. He doesn't have a sword, but he's trying to get your attention.
I say, Thrag, why don't you go and find out what that fellow over there is hollering about?
I mean, you're an intimidating looking bunch.
Thrag walks over and says, huh?
He takes a very, very deep gulp. He's bloodthirsty. What, 3, 4, whatever that was. So he's bloodthirsty -1. He's taking a look at you, and he's like, oh, yes, sir. I couldn't help but hear that you were looking for. You were looking for a bit of coin, or looking for a bit of adventure. There is something that might pique your interest. Can I come sit down?
Yeah.
He slides his measly little tankard of watered down beer, and comes and sits down between the three of you. Gigantic dudes. It's your spiked armor or cut off denim. Magic shadow pants. He comes and sits down between the three of you. He takes that. Praises the three of you and takes that long, deep gulp. He goes, "Well,
I take one of the tankards and pour like our heavy dark beer into the gentleman's cup and sort of look him in the eyes and say, "Get some real warmth in you, boy. You're not gonna make it through the night without this."
One of these kind of deals, is going up to his lips. Yeah, he says, have you ever heard, he starts to calm down a little bit. He's not as nervous. He says, have you ever heard of the story of Roma Finnerty?
Can't say that I have.
Huh?
I'm gonna regret that voice later.
All right, let me switch over here real quick. All right.
As my expressive friend Thrag here says, "No, we ain't heard that story, boy." And I'm going to regret this accent as well. I have no idea why I started like this. I'm so sorry.
You don't know what
you abandon it whenever you're ready.
Thrag must be interested. He's running his mouth awfully a lot tonight.
I write all the lyrics for the song.
Thrag, your latest masterwork maybe didn't hit the spot like we've been talking about.
All right. Well, he eventually he does calm down. Can everybody see me still?
Yeah, I can see you.
All right. So he like I said, he begins to calm down, and then he relates to you the story of Roma Finnerty. He says, more than 50 winters ago, the citizens of Crowers Steeple, now that's just up the road here, unjustly burned Roma Finnerty at the stake for crimes that she most certainly almost did not commit. She was accused of witchery, and through her supposed ties with Hecate, is said to have caused a local constabulary's child to be born lame. On trial, Roma repeatedly proclaimed her innocence, but was still sentenced to death. She was burned unceremoniously in the local churchyard, dying alone and without family. In the months that followed, it was revealed that Roma had been having a secret affair with the same constable who had accused her. Her innocence was never publicly proven, and no justice was ever brought to bear on the constable. He was just simply moved to a new post, and the whole scandal was covered up. In the years that followed, Roma Finnerty was forgotten. I mean, she had no family. She was just simple folk, who the same kind of people you walk by every day, and you think very little of. She lived in and around Crowers Steeple. The folk there just eventually, forgot about her. In a time that they all moved away, and either came here to Deadfellows or just moved on to greener pastures. And the small settlement, it just kind of fell into ruin. All that remains today are these overgrown fields and rolling hills. They're scarred only by scorched ruins of an old church and a few abandoned farms. What's curious is that all the farms have burned down at one time or the other over the years. And I've been out that way, hunting for game, and it's been 50 years, and I can still smell the odor of ash lingering on the air. But it's been uninhabited for decades. Everyone that goes by the ruins of Crowers Steeple or gets too close, everyone has a story to tell. Whether or not it's strange sounds or smoke rising from the ground, it's a place that has been, it's just a cursed and haunted place. But still, there are rumors and there are, there are tales of treasure to be had, but nobody can get close enough to verify that or to what's the word I'm looking for, to verify what's going on there, because sometimes the church, it can be seen from a distance that it's on fire. I mean, 50 years ago that church burned down, but then on some nights you'll have farmers or travelers who will report seeing it on fire. Something. There's definitely something going on. It's a haunted and fell place, and you're just the kind of fellas who would be this is more up your alley than anybody here. You know, like I said, we're just a bunch of turnip farmers and game hunters and loggers. So
I ask you, boy, how do you hunt that game? Do you talk it to death?
He's looking at it like, you know, one of these, you know, kind of like, you know, it's just a commonly known rumor, sir, or just a tale. It's, you know, it's part of the hinterlands. I don't know what to tell you. I've been hearing it all my life. I've even seen a few queer things out there myself. So.
And
sorry, guys, I'm not a voice actor.
No, you're good.
That was great. Keep going.
I look at him and I just go,
he just kind of looks around, and you know, as his gaze trails from, you know, door to window to ceiling, you can tell there's not a lot to be had here, and but the tale that there might, you know, still be valuables or treasure or things of value at Crower Steeple. Everybody here is so superstitious and horrified and frightened of going anywhere near it. You know, nobody's, you know, these people only have rumor to go on. They're not going to go out there and start digging up the floor of the church, or, you know, start digging around in burial mounds or anything.
Barbel, lay some wisdom on us. Tell us what we should do.
Let's wreck shit.
Thrag, in your incredibly erudite and expressive way, where do you fall on this matter?
Now listen, you know, out of the three of you, like I said, you're experienced and able veteran adventurers, but you've never heard of Crower Steeple. You've never heard of Rome Affinity. You know, until just a couple weeks ago, you'd never heard of Dead Fellows. You know, so again, this is one of those extremely out of the way places, and this could be just one of those things that's just a local legend. You know, like when we were kids, there was always, like, up in the mountains, there was always, you're from Missouri, there's always like a cult in the hills, or, like, you know, devil worshippers in the mountains or whatever. It could be one of those things, or it could just be, you know, it could be real. Who knows?
Just sorry, out of character for a minute. Is that a thing that happens in Missouri?
No.
Big cults in the hills?
No.
I mean, not that we talk about. Though Dean just did discover earlier tonight, much to his upset, that there are people in the world who put chili on top of their cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
And he's been made very upset by that.
Growing up in Nowheresville, Arkansas, when we were in high school, they would always say, "Oh yeah, there's devil worshippers on the mountain, and if you go up there at a certain time of night, yada yada yada." Of course, utter nonsense. You know, absolutely false. But that was the thing that would, that you would hear, or whatever local legend. Kieran's like, I'm not judging.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, wow.
No, it's like Missouri has its own version of Bigfoot. It's just Bigfoot with a big head. So it's not very imaginative. So the area kind of lives up to that
Bigger
sort of thing. Yeah.
You guys, you guys can tell that Thrag is into it. Like he obviously, like, he's got his memo, like his little fantasy memo pad out, and has like a charcoal pencil, and he's been taking notes this entire time, which means he thinks this probably has the makings of a good ballad for our next album. I mean, if nothing else,
He's describing Crower Steeple as basically just this ruin that has that burned down years and years ago, and the land has started taking it back.
Yeah, it's
just nothing but rolling hills and and old flagstones and half collapsed stone wall from some farmer's property line. It's just everything's being overtaken by nature. There's not a whole lot to see other than this old ruined church that has of course burned down.
So I like Thrag points back down the road, like off to the right a little bit, and is like, eh?
He's like,
You're right.
Eh?
You're right, Thrag. We should head for the town to find any potential treasure they may have.
Also, Thrag, no matter how many times you try it, the death of dogs does not rhyme with logs. Okay, I'm not singing it. I'm not gonna sing it. All right, but yeah, our friend Barbell here has some good words. We should follow Thrag's lead.
And the innkeeper, tavern keeper, whatever you want to call him, he's at the end of the bar. And there's not a whole lot of people in here, but he's at the end of the bar wiping things down or whatever it is the innkeepers do. And he says, "It is true. So my missus, she wasn't too far from Crow's Steeple collecting berries with her sister. And she heard the most blood-curdling scream you ever did hear. When she looked, she just saw two. She swears. Now, again, this is my missus. Who knows what she was really doing out in those hills? But she swears she saw two eyes of fire in that church. But again, who knows? Woman might have just been drunk. You know how these hinterland gals are.
No, but I think I wanna. If this is how they have good fun."
So
at that, you get people in the few people that are in here. They all kind of chime in. They're like, yeah, we heard that too. Yeah, that's true. Every little bit that they layer on, every little detail, you'll see somebody kind of, they're listening in, and they'll be like, and in their beer, they're nodding. It seems to be that this is a tale that's just kind of well known to everybody in here, but you guys. Which leads you to believe that the guy's not making it up on the spot.
right.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, Thrag's into it. I think the question that he has in his heart of hearts is whether we get drunk tonight and then wake up and go do it the next morning, or whether we head out now.
Thrag, I can see in your heart of hearts what you're looking to ask is, do we get drunk tonight and go out and do it in the morning, or do we just head out into the dark and the cold and the snow and the wind right now?
They're looking at you like you're insane.
How about a lot of compromise? We get drunk and then we go to the village.
Innkeeper size. All right, 3 more. Put them down the bar.
Yeah, I'll chuck them down.
I'm joined in on this one. Just nick it, and then say, I think we need maybe 3 more for the road.
Well, listen, 3 more turns into 5 more, which turns into blackout. You guys wake up in the stables in the morning. You're not sure how you didn't get frostbitten, or even what you're doing in the stables. But there is a nervous-looking horse, so take a as what it is. You wake up, massive headaches. You shake it all out. You're like, "Am I remembering this correctly? That there's a ghost in a church or something? What was all that about? Like, huh?"
And I flipped through my memo pad and like recount all the details that I wrote down from the night before, and like the first few lines of a song that I've been working on based on this curse, and
And the church.
It's pretty legible, those first 4 or 5 lines, and then it just kind of it's a little less legible and a little less, and then it's just a line that just goes.
yeah.
I'm gonna pull out my notebook, which I'm sure I used over the night, and look at the one passage in it that just says "wreck shit at the church."
There's a drawing of a horse and a heart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull out my notepad and then realize that I'm the front man. I don't know the notepad, man. What are you talking about? This is, and then I'm gonna, feel sad.
Yeah, so it's a nice crisp mid morning. You step out. The town is for what it is. The few people that are outside doing what they do, and they're not either they're not loggers or timber folk or trappers or whatnot. The few people that are out there, they walk by and they've got that look like, wow, those are the guys that tore shit up last night. You haven't taken a look inside the bar yet, so who knows.
And I don't plan to either.
I don't know that we do.
Like we wrote in that song, go forwards, don't ever look back.
Yeah, so we'll just grab our stuff. I've got my sack thrown over a shovel, and start heading in the general direction of where kind of everybody described this as being.
Oh yeah. So in your discourse, you do remember, hey, down this road, then take a ride at the crooked tree or whatever. You know the general direction of where you're going. So
Let's ride the lightning.
fair enough. No wizards. All right, so yeah, listen. Again, you're in a pretty wild area, but you spend most of the day just you hack some thickets, you avoid some bear sign. You see a couple of moose, and you try not to get between them and their babies. But other than that, man, you're just traveling overland. Sometimes it's a little muddy. Sometimes it's just hard, tack. But then you eventually get onto a game trail, and you're pretty sure that you're headed in the right direction. A good 2/3 of your day of daylight gets eaten up in this overland trek. You're making a lot of noise, but you're not running into any sort of there's nothing lunging out of the bushes at you or whatnot. Guys in armor enough to just the sound of it's enough to scare a bear away. So you guys are in pretty good shape. But you spend, like I said, most of the day just going through the wilderness, and then up ahead you see it start to open up a little bit. This must be, this must be what they were saying, Crower Steeple. And it does open up, and it opens up to some, like I said, again, the hills, rolling hills. There was a homestead. All that's left, small little rock wall, maybe part of a chimney. Everything else has been pulled down by the elements or reclaimed by the land in 50 years. I mean, 50 years is a long time for a place to be just abandoned to the elements. So, but like I said, you're veterans, so you see a plot of, you see like what's left of a homestead over here. Oh, there's a low rock wall, and you move around until boom, there it is. You're starting to see areas that are scorched. Now these aren't, like that homestead right there. Hey, that didn't burn down 50 years ago. That burned down 6 months ago. One second. What's that? No, I'm on a live stream, man. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for the elevator.
Okay, it's out there somewhere, but I'm busy. All right, thanks. All right, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Big sign that says "Do not disturb" live stream. Okay, yeah. So that spot that's not 50 years old. That burned down. Like I said, like 6 months ago. And it was a pretty thorough gutting too. There's not a whole lot that's left. And as you move through the hills and the dips and the valleys and whatnot, you come across other homes. Again, these homes are that one maybe 4 years ago. That one, hey, that might have been last week. Is that a little bit of smoke that's rising off the ground on that one? Like
Thrag thinks to himself, why do people keep on building homes out here?
Well, that is what is immediately curious to you. Like, I thought this was supposed to be a ruined settlement. Like, I thought this was supposed to be someplace that, burned down 50 years ago and then got swallowed up by the wilderness. While that's partly true, something strange going on here. You stop, just to kind of survey the area, and sure enough, man, there's a little bit of ashes on the wind too. Like when there's a great fire, and you'll see ashes on the wind. A little bit of that here as well.
I'm going to look at Barbel. I'm going to be, we've come to the land of the ice and snow, where the midnight runs and the hot springs flow, and yet there's ash on the wind. What is that all about?
Yeah, whatever happened, definitely. Not only were those lyrics not natural, but the situation is not natural either. It's definitely happening here.
in my defense, you can't set up a metal RPG and then not expect to get metal lyrics back at you.
No, I'm hoping for it. Yeah. Wait till you get to the rainbow in the dark. No.
We'll start like the place that looked like it just burnt down. We'll start kind of poking around with my short swords, not my shorts, but my short swords.
So let me clarify. It doesn't look like it just burned down. It looks like it burned down a while ago, but there is tiny wisps of smoke coming up from the ground.
Yeah, I'm investigating why these wisps of smoke.
But it's obvious that it burned down, and many layers of frost over many mornings have done their work here. But curiously, again, from those spots on the ground and collapse of logs and whatnot, you do see the tiniest bit of wisp of smoke coming up. You put your hand down, and there is a little bit of warmth to it too. Like this seems like it could have just happened last night, and this is just what you would come across in the morning. But your eyes, you're looking at it, you're like, no, this has been here. This has been here. God knows how long.
We're gonna have to get through the fire and the flames.
So we'll just as we've kind of encountered all these houses, like lots of them obviously look like they were old, torn down by time or things like that. For the fresher ones, as we've kind of like poked around in them, does it look like they were empty when they went out? Are we seeing bodies? Are we seeing like metal remnants of anything as we've gone through, or has it looked like people have escaped or come back and picked over these things once they've been burned?
So the more and more you look at it, you're not seeing any kind of bones or any kind of remains or anything at all. Not in the least. Again, it's almost like the more you look at it, the more that you come to the sense of this ruin of this house. It burned down, and then it burned down again, and it burned down again, and then the stones caught fire and it burned down again, and then it burned down again and again and again. And as you move through, the ruins and like I said, the hills and whatnot, you encounter more of these spots. That's generally the feeling that you're getting. And as you move closer to the center of town and that church you saw from the hill back there, the ash on the wind gets a little heavier. The smell of smoke, that smell of old smoke, like the inside of a chimney that hasn't been fired up in 2 years, gets more and more prevalent.
Is there a central area to this, or is it all is this effect focused around the church?
You guys came in from kind of from the side, and it was a farm here, a house here, and as you're moving towards that, like I said, you saw that burned down church from the hill back there. As you get closer to the center of town, you see that's probably where they had the church was in the center of this town, and then buildings around it, and all of the buildings as you get closer, all of the old foundations and buildings and the piles of stones, they're all blackened. They're all long burned down long time ago. But it seemed to have spread out from the church and then pocket spots, after that.
So at this point, Throg is you're investigating the church. Is that correct, Tony?
I was investigating the smoke coming out of the ground. I think that was in a house that we were
like an old homestead. Yeah.
I mean, as we kind of draw closer and we start to see the church, I think that's when Thrag will also start to actually try to be a little bit sneakier, a little bit stealthier, not going quite as fast. But he'll definitely be leading the way. As far as I'll scout ahead a little bit to kind of get a general sense of, is this space safe as we're heading into it.
And there's a nice contrast between the maybe a light blanket of snow here or frost, and then in spots you can see, the wisps of smoke coming up from the ground or an old homestead or an old well over there. Like, who burns a well? That doesn't even make sense,
Right.
You do so as you look around, you see like there is smoke here rising from the ground, but not in any kind of like heavy, super noticeable way. But if you look, I see a little bit over there, and I see. Are you familiar with? And you're from Pennsylvania. You know Centralia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Centralia, Pennsylvania, where they have the mine caught fire underneath, or not mine, but the coal caught fire underneath. Yeah, like what's that video game?
Silent Hill.
It was that Spinner for Silent Hill.
So if you've ever been there, that's exactly what walking around the hills is. You'll just be walking around and then you'll see like a little bit of smoke coming up from a hole in the ground. You're like, what? Like, what is this? You put your hand on the asphalt and it's hot.
Right.
It's crazy. That's the general feeling you're getting here. There's smoke rising from numerous cracks in the ground and homesteads, and why is there smoke rising from that blackened stone over there? Like, I put my hand on it, it's cold, but why is there smoke rising from it? This is weird.
Barvel, a great man once said, "We didn't start this fire."
The eminent sage William Joel.
Yeah.
He was known as the Piano Man. Yes.
I want to go over and check out the well.
Sure.
And if there's not a bucket, which I'm assuming given the state of things, there's probably not. I'm just going to drop a stone down and listen to see if it hits water or hits rock and dirt.
Yeah, so the well again is like all the stone bits that you come, the chimney, the like I said, the homesteader, the wall. It's all blackened, and like I said, looks like it caught fire, and it caught fire again, and caught fire again, and caught fire again. A little bit of smoke coming up from the well there. You toss a stone in, goes down. You hear it hit water.
I'll move through the streets and I'll head towards where Thrag is currently standing and join him looking down the well.
All right.
I will do that as well, except for looking down the well. I'm going to watch their backs just in case.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, it took you most of the day to get here, and as you're kind of peering around, looking at a few things, definitely nightfall is on its way. Point that out, but then want to spring it on you later and be like, "Hey, you didn't tell us." So
He's letting us know it's gotten dangerous now. And we'll I think we'll just take we'll kind of find a place to hole up for the night that's fairly defensible. So maybe one of these kind of like homesteads that two of the walls are still standing.
That's the most interesting part. The most defensible place in the town is gonna be that old church. Imagine that. It's really the only structure that isn't completely just
a little bit stones on the ground, right?
Yeah. You get like a little V shape or a chimney here, or maybe part of a walkway up. But again, you could probably push it over.
Thrag slept in a lot of chimneys in his time. No, if that's the most defensible building, that's where we're gonna head.
Oh, for sure. And it looks essentially like the rest of the Crower steeple here. It's there's not much left, but it's the only place that has four walls and a little bit of a roof left. There's an old, large, metal church bell that's half sunk into the ground. That it's all scorched too. Like I said, everything is half burned and burned again. So,
Rappine's going to walk over to Thrag and be like, "Thrag, that's only the third worst place you've ever found us to sleep. Yeah, I think it'll do."
Yeah.
Let's just hope we're not walking on a Black Sabbath. I'll stop.
No, please don't. Please don't. I love it. Tony is giving us the evil eye. Every time we do this, he's giving fury coming through the screen at us.
That's just me RPing Thrag. It's not it's just what he looks like. So, so we're
Just my face.
we'll kind of find a place to camp. We'll find some wood that isn't completely burnt out, even if we have to trek out a little bit for it, which I'm sure we do. And we'll get a little low fire going in the corner of the church building.
Sure. So you enter the church. Let me just briefly describe it. Again, 4 walls, part of an upper story, but not much. All stone. You've got that bell that's kind of half buried there in the where it was up and it fell, and then over the time it's just kind of sunk. The stones have the same look as the rest of the place. They've caught fire, blackened, burned, and burned again. That smell from like the inside of a chimney again that I was describing earlier. Very heavy here, very, very heavy. But there's something else in that smell. You're not really, you can't quite put your finger on it, but you smelt it before. You're like, what? That's a familiar smell. What is that? It's got kind of a almost like a nostalgic feel to it when you smell that odor inside the church. The ash on the wind is blocked out pretty much by the walls. You got a little bit. It's kind of in the haze of the dying day. You got a little bit of it falling down through rays of sunlight. It's there, but you're getting a very quiet and solemn feeling, but not in the solemn, not the feeling of anything like holy, but more of like a calm before the storm sort of feel. You're a little nervous. Nervous is the wrong word. You're a little on edge, and you're not sure where that's coming from, other than just being surrounded by a town that's burned to the ground.
Hey, Thrag, you remember that time when we first set out on this epic quest of ours, and we were living under the stage at that terrible tavern? And you remember the first night that we gigged, and then the second, and then the third. You'd always get that sense of something's about to happen. As the crowd watched and the excitement built, and we got ready to take our instruments out and play.
Yeah.
Feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
And another thing, when you started up the fire, like you literally put flint to tinder, and then the whole bundle of sticks just popped. It caught fire easier. I mean, you're an experienced woodman. You've never seen anything catch fire like that before.
Oh.
It caught fire like that.
Oh,
You're right. That is peculiar.
Was that peculiar? I thought he said.
Too, so,
It's almost as if this. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing another Billy Joel reference.
I liked the fact that to your British sensibilities, Billy Joel is heavy metal. That's my favorite part.
we are very civilized people. I mean,
It's the heaviest thing allowed to play.
No Judas Priest. Come on, no Iron Maiden. Come on, man.
I'm working on the Maiden lyrics. They're coming. I'm just revising them in the background.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll kind of set up. Keep an eye out for things. I'm sure we want to set a watch through the night.
Yeah.
So you arrange your watch however you like. I don't know if you want to post people indoors. You have a certain way you're going to do things, or you're sleeping. However you do it. But if you say you did it, you did it. I'm not.
Yeah. I just meant like, I'll stay up for 4 hours, and someone else will stay up for 4 hours, and somebody else will stay up for 4 hours, so everybody gets an 8-hour sleep. And
yeah, cool.
Just someone's up and 2 people are sleeping. That's the
Listen, predictably, night falls, and it seems to fall rather quickly too. Once you got into the church and you started kind of poking around and building fires and looking at the wall, there's not a whole lot to see in here, man. It's just blackened stones, and nothing has survived the burning of this church. There's nothing. What's more death metal than a burning church? I mean, there's nothing has to. So there's not like there's any banners or tapestries or ephemera, anything on the ground. There's not old chapbooks or anything. It's really just a burnout, hulked out ruin. So,
Levi, are you saying that night fell out of the sky like an airship made of metal?
And roll initiative. No.
All right, I'm gonna stop. I promise I'll stop.
Everybody take
That
one.
was the last one.
Everybody take one psychic damage.
So yeah, listen. Predictably, night falls. It's quiet, and Rapina, you're the first to notice it. You're noticing that the ground that you're sleeping on is starting to almost like it's heating up a little bit, like it's warm. Not like like when you're sitting in your car and you accidentally hit the seat warmers, and you didn't know you hit them, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's that? It's kind of like that. You're sitting there with your back to the wall, and you're like, it's getting a little warm in here.
All right.
Well, you're looking around. Sure enough, in the corner over there, you're starting to see some tiny wisps of smoke literally coming up from like a toppled stone.
So I'm going to take out a little
small chair. The blackened stone, but there's smoke rising from the stone.
So I'm going to take out a little spinner, spin it on my hand, watch it turn, and okay, I'm not high this time, so it must be something weird. And then I'm going to go over and investigate the smoking stone chair. So
I'm just saying that the stone is like the size of like a small chair. The stone warm to the touch. There is smoke literally rising from the rock coming up. Makes no sense, obviously. Very strange. The wind's blowing outside. It's cold, but inexplicably the ruins are beginning to slightly heat up.
I'll try and move the stone. So I'll reach down, dig my fingers around the edge, try and see if it shifts in any way.
Yeah, easily it rolls to the side. It rolls over, and then that side a little bit starts to come up from the opposite side that was on the ground a minute ago.
And what's underneath the stone? Is it just dirt or
just charred dirt? Old charred dirt. You dig a little bit there, nothing. It's just cold, hard ground that is starting to warm up. A little bit of lichen underneath there maybe, but nothing super to point out.
He's going to conclude he's high, and then he's going to go back to the fire and continue guarding.
Thrag, you're watching this go on. You're like, yeah, I don't get it either. And then literally right off to the side of your shoulder, you start to see the wall start to smolder a little bit.
Like poke it with my sword.
Yeah, excuse me. A little bit of char comes off. It's definitely stone. It's definitely real. It's just the smoke starts to rise up from it.
And I'll look over to Rappin and go.
Thrag sure is talkative today.
Oh yeah, I didn't quite catch that though, Thrag. Barwell, did you pick up what he?
These guys go at it. You're watching them, poke at the wall and move stones, and you're like, all right, hey, whatever. And as you're doing that, moving your head from side to side, you see like an ember. As the wind blows through the old church, you see an ember, like a little fiery ember, kind of blow in the wind past you.
I'm gonna step outside the church real quick to, the general direction where the ember came from, see if I can parse where it came from.
You're not sure where it came from over there, so you start to walk towards the door and you see more of these embers. They look like they're coming out of the wall. I mean, not like in a flood or anything, but like a couple, and they just kind of come as it is either they come through the wall or maybe they drifted through the wall. You're not really sure. You see an ember kind of go that way, and there's another one kind of falls from the ceiling, and then another one goes that way. You've got smoke rising from odd places. You've got embers on the wind. Very strange. You know what I mean by embers, like the trail off from a campfire.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything's like a fire, but there's no actual fire.
You don't see any fire yet.
Yeah.
Except
Embers
these
and
embers.
smoke, but
Occasional, and then it's not like the whole place is full of them. It's just a few here. You're like, what? They're not coming. They're not coming from our fire that has almost died out to nothing. You know, like.
What are your thoughts, Bobble? You're the brains of the operation.
is there anything you can roll like mystical wise that I might be able to use to get an idea of what might be going on?
So is it which is the clerical one? It's the
Holy.
That faith or
Holy.
anybody have any,
Okay.
anybody got holy? Okay,
I have holy.
so let's do it. Was it 15 on holy?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of up to you. 15 is the default kind of
Sure,
for saves.
default.
But yeah.
My character's gonna look over at Azala there. I'm like, I mean, you're the Judas priest, so you tell me.
He's gonna look at you and say, "But I'm afraid of the dark. I have a constant fear that something's always near." And then he's gonna roll 22 on his holy check.
Oh, yeah. This is so you know in your travels and in your studies and you know your travels. This is a haunting for sure. This is a haunting. This A, it's not natural. B, this isn't something that is anything of this earth. It's you know you're not. This is part mental, part supernatural. You're not even sure how much of this is even real, but you're 100% for sure this is a haunting.
Bruce is okay with things not being real. He's pretty sure that an awful lot of his life hasn't actually been real, or at least he wasn't experiencing what everyone else was experiencing. So,
Yeah, real quick, as you're standing there, your sword, without you bidding it to burst into flames, burst into flames.
I'm going to hold it above my head and strike a rock pose, and then yell, "Show yourself!"
So for sure, your sword has never done that before. This is the first time that it's ever sprung into total flame on its own. That's a little freaky. But as it does that, the embers in the room begin to circulate. You know, they begin to become more like where there was 4, now there's 8, now there's 20, now there's 50, and they're starting to circulate in the room. And then right next to Borba, the ground splits open because you're kind of standing towards the middle of the room there.
Right.
The ground splits open, and this blood-curdling shriek of what sounds like a screams of rage mixed with like just agonizing pain. It's almost like somebody's being burned alive. Just this sound, the ground just splits open, and the sound just pours out of this hole, out of this rift that opens up in the ground. I say rift. In a shower of blackened stone and soil. This humanoid-sized effigy of a blackened, charred flesh that's just like cloaked in wisps of smoke, just bursts out of the ground. All of its identifying features have been there's just charred. There's nothing there, just erased by the ravages of like flame and time. But there are 2 flickering red eyes, in the face. I actually have a picture of it. Actually, hey, fair enough. Let's do it.
I'm gonna pull my axe and be like, "It's Suxi and the Banshees. Let's get them."
How dare you, sir? All right.
I'm gonna strike a rock pose and go, "She didn't ride the stairway to heaven."
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
Killer artwork. Nice.
Oh, that is metal and then some.
There we go.
Sweet.
Yeah, that just comes. And again, that shriek is somewhere between pain and rage. You're not really sure you know, 50, if it's 50, 20, 80, who knows? But there's it's horrible. It's, you know, makes your skin crawl. You know, you immediately gets the hairs on your neck up, and that leaves us with initiative.
Ooh, all right.
So we just roll a d6 for our crew.
Yep.
So if anybody wants to do that,
I just rolled a 4.
Okay.
I think that's a good roll.
high is better. Yep.
Oh, 1.
There you go.
Well, I rolled a 2.
Well, it's just one for the group. So we're going to go first.
Oh,
either way.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Dean. Please go ahead and roll it next time. I didn't mean to steal.
No,
that roll.
you're fine. You're fine. I preferred your roll anyway. I rolled a 2, so.
So and then we move in whatever order we decide. It's not there's no like as far as our we act before them essentially. So
Now, to be clear, when she bursts out of the ground there, she's about 10 foot up in this. You know, she's at the very top there, like where there's half the ceiling here. She's twirling in that cyclone of embers that with our top of the embers just kind of swirling around. She's twirling in that, like literally above you, with that just screaming, you know, this horrible, you know, blood curdling scream.
I'm gonna look at Thrag and say, "Hey, Thrag, she screams good, but I think you can scream better. Do you want a lift?" And I'm gonna hold down hold as if I want to boost him into the air, you know, lift him up so he can fly through the air with his axe.
So you drop your sword?
Sheath it. Drop it. Yeah. So I'll drop the sword and sort of, you know, like that upsy daisy motion.
All right. Well, he drops his sword and I guess puts his hands firmly on your buttocks.
Ankles.
Thrag is confused why Rapine thinks he wants to be thrown at the flaming woman. And so while he's comforted by the intimacy of the moment, he just picks up a big piece of rubble next to him and chunks it at her. And so
Talking like the size of like football, right?
yeah, just like yeah. And so
Barbas, however, will take the opportunity Borba. I got the name of my own character. He's gonna take the opportunity of the lift up to kind of with his help launch himself in the air and attack with his axe after Thrag throws a stone.
So Thrag rolls a 16 to hit. So
Yeah. So the stone passes straight through the effigy. You throw it, you smack dead on in the chest. Just passes right through it like it's smoke. Oh shit! I thought, Borba, you said you were going to try to jump up and smack the thing's toes with your axe.
Yeah, come up down, swinging with the axe down.
Okay, let's just do like a simple. We'll do like a 15, like an acrobatic. We'll just do bloodthirsty 15.
Okay. Okay, I rolled a 20, and then my bloodthirsty is a 3. So
yeah, when you roll a 20, it doesn't matter what else you roll.
Yes.
All right, let's get good to go.
So lift him in the air and just throw him.
What are you using to strike it with?
My +1 axe that I have here.
Okay, and then kind of damage.
Lightning, right?
Yeah, lightning.
So it does
lightning damage.
Oh, you just need to roll damage?
So I'm sorry. Did you say it's lightning damage? So the axe itself causes electrical damage?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just making sure. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So what? Because I want to make sure I know what am I rolling here for damage.
It's your level, right?
Oh
Yeah.
no! So you just hit. So so it's +1. So it's going to be 2. It's basically going to be 2 lightning damage. Like so, essentially, like anybody watching, the easiest conversion that we've ever discovered for this is like level or challenge rating equals health points is kind of the easiest way to convert a monster from another system to this one. So that's just the easiest kind of way to think about it. But yeah,
Cool.
so it'll do two damage, one magical weapon damage, one lightning specific.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's like something out of like a highlight reel. You know, you're doing one of those. You know, like you're literally going through the air, and it's like you hear like the Flight of the Valkyries as you're coming across. Maybe a little Led Zeppelin instead as you're coming through. But you smack this thing, straight in the chest, and it just another blood curdling scream. You definitely hit it. You definitely did something to it. It did not enjoy the being hit with your magic axe. And as you hit it, again, it spins. It kind of goes up in the air a little bit higher as it's surrounded by this shroud of embers.
Okay.
All right, now sorry, go ahead. And you land.
I was just gonna say I wasted the Red Lightning joke for the wrong opportunity, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, and you land. You roll a 20, so you land pitch perfect, no problem. Yeah. So, and then Tony, did you threw the rock?
I threw the rock. So
you did the opposite boost.
Yeah. on a meta level, I think we learned that rocks don't hurt this thing, and therefore probably magic things hurt this thing. But
yeah,
who knows?
Sure.
We'll find out whether that's accurate or not as we go.
So you land, pivot, you're ready. This thing, it just spins back around, looks at the three of you. Its eyes are just flaming, red, embers that are just shining out of this blackened, tortured face. And it kind of does this with its arms, and then all around so at the perimeter, the doorway of the church, and all around the perimeter where the walls had fallen and whatnot, just flames spring up all the way around you. Like the perimeter of the church does this number, and it just the flames, the stones themselves are on fire, the ground is on fire. It almost seems like the air is on fire, and the heat goes from like tolerable to like, I mean, it's like you're in a furnace in just in a matter of seconds. All right, your turn.
Kieran, what do you got?
I have something I'd like to try. So because I'm the holiest of the group, or the unholiest of the group, I am the Judas Priest. I'm going to strike another rock pose. I'm going to hold up my sword. I'm going to say, "The power of metal compels you." Don't know why I went south there. And then he's going to cast Cleanse. I don't know what it does, which means I can banish any unholy effect.
All right. Just roll a beat of 15.
13 plus 3, 16.
16. You see the flames that literally had come up, come back down. You banish the flame.
And
Am I doing that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still want to use a Billy Joel reference, and I'm avoiding it.
I've been this close to making a Rush reference. They're not metal, but I still love them. So.
All right, Dean. Borba.
So standing there, I'm going to go ahead and pivot around again and try and strike it with my axe.
All right.
Actually, you know what? No, strike that. He's going to make the devil horns. Let me put that right. And then use pain bolt, which I want to, if I can, make it the shape of lightning as I shoot it at the apparition here.
Pain bolt, yeah.
Pain bolt.
Yeah, it inflicts level hits on target. So what's your level in mystical?
2.
So
nice.
Yeah. And spells auto succeed, so you just roll a hit essentially.
So don't bother rolling a hit.
Okay.
The lightning cracks up from your devil horn. That's a beautiful visual, by the way. You got a guy you're doing the Bruce Dickinson solo. Yeah, it just cracks up and from your hands, and it engulfs this effigy of flame. but does not seem to have any sort of effect to it.
Ooh.
Just crackle. It just seems to make her even more irritated, more angry, more filled with rage.
We'd rather do something to kill Beelzebub here.
But it looked rad as hell.
I am going to, or Thrag is going to, because they're high up towards the ceiling, right?
She's like, it was 10 feet and then probably 12, 13, something like that.
So he is going to kind of foot plant off, like run up towards one of the corners near them, foot plant off, and do a backflip, very WWE
Nice.
style, to bring his shorts of shadow coming down right on top of this thing to try to crash it to the ground. It's the only magic item I have is my shorts of shadow. And so he's essentially trying
what
to.
What are the shorts of shadow do? They help you hide, or can you meld into shadows and appear someplace else?
I can meld into shadows by virtue of another ability, but yeah, they basically cloak me in shadow and make me harder to hit typically. But I'm gonna bring my perfectly molded glutes right down on this that are wrapped in shadow down on top of this creature in a.
Now I'm going to say this: she's probably a little too high to do a butt drop on.
So I use the ability I use is actually acrobatics, so that's why I queued up the. So basically, I go hop back and forth in the corner of a wall to get up high.
Gotcha.
To get the height I need to slam down.
Cool, let's do it. So you need to make an acrobatics roll and then just an attack.
Yep. Well,
Let's
the
do
acrobatics is the for this is the attack. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No worries.
Maybe it's a 21.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. So you guys are doing. You're doing the lightning flashing from one hand, and you're trying to swat this thing with a flaming sword, and you just see him do like a pinball on the side of the wall up to the second floor. Swings up on the ledge from a window, does like a backflip, and then just does like a butt power bomb onto this flaming geist. Just
I did. Sorry, I forgot to mention to my teammates here. I do have tactics to get a +1 to hit.
I do also too have tactics to get a +1, which is good. That means when we're near Kieran, he gets a +2 to hit.
That's right.
Each one of us gets a +1.
There you go. Yeah.
So
You're at so 21 most definitely lands. And I mean you're armed. You're a big guy. You're armored the whole 9 yards. No, you're not armored. It doesn't matter.
I'm a big. I'm a big guy though.
You're a big guy. You butt bomb on this 40-pound corpse who who's half ash and wisps of smoke. And you just drive the whole thing to the ground, just and in a shower of ash and cinders and flame. You hit the ground. Again, you're using acrobatics, no damage or anything. But you seem to have power butt bombed this thing out of existence. It's just a shower of smoke and wisps of ash and flame now. And the screaming stops.
Then all of a sudden that moose meat from last night catches up with me and you see the ash puff up one more time. Thrag puts on an apologetic, almost sheepish, like,
You're fine, Thrag.
It's okay, Thrag. Once again, your butt bomb power attack has leveled the playing field for us.
All right.
So there's so much ash. I see the red door is now black.
So next round, what do you guys?
Well, they've dissipated, so I'm gonna. Thrag's gonna like lean over. You said they ripped. Did they rip out of the ground, or was they just like did the embers rip out of the ground, or was it just like a coalescing of more of them?
You mean when she popped out of the ground?
Yeah, she erupted out of the ground, right? I'm not remembering
Right.
that incorrectly. Okay, I'm gonna.
All those embers that were kind of coming through, they looked like they were coming to the walls, coming to the stone. They started to make like almost like a tornado around her as she rose into the top of the church. But now that she's gone, I said it's like when Vader hits Kenobi, you know, and he disappears, his robe is left behind. That's all that's left behind to her after you basically power butt bombed her. is you know, this trails of ash and some cinders in the air, and like it just stops for a minute. You're like, oh, okay.
Kind of like lean over and look at where she came out of the ground.
Okay, what do you, Borba? What are you doing?
He's gonna just kind of like keep watch over him while he's looking over at the ground, just in
Rapina?
case as a precaution.
Rapine is going to come and join them and feel slightly suspicious of Barber because he might be wanting to take the role of the front man. So he's going to watch Barber and watch the hole at the same time.
All right.
How do you find out my plan?
So you're looking in the hole. You're not seeing anything.
Because you're not normally this agreeable. That's
It's
why.
hot down there. Like you see that this like the stones are almost glowing because it was like super hot down there, and there is like smoke and wisps of ash and whatnot still coming up out of it, but you don't see you don't see this unruly spirit. Does anyone? What's Tony? What is a mechanic here for like a spot or any kind of
So there isn't a really solid one. OSR stuff. Sometimes it's you just see what you see, and the players have to be smart about what they're doing. And so unless somebody says, like we said, we're looking. If it's something happening behind us, we don't see it. If it's something happening in front of us, we see it. Like that's kind of the general. That's just the general way of it.
Listen, several moments go by. You guys are looking in here. You're like, what was that? Like, what the hell is this fire? The stuff. The room's still filled with smoke. Things are starting to die down, and you hear a creaking from above. You look up, and that partial second story above is starting to collapse down upon you. Now, everybody make an acrobatics check. I think it's acrobatics.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it'd probably be sneaky. Would be the.
No, hold on. Is acrobatics an ability?
Acrobatics is an ability that you can have.
Who has acrobatics?
I have acrobatics, but it's those happen when they happen. Sneaky is to basically avoid damage, physical damage. Sneaky is the roll that you would roll against.
Okay, who has sneaky?
If they don't have it, they just roll flat. There's just no modifier.
If you have sneaky, you don't need to make this roll. You're able to dodge out of the way. We'll just do it that way. Okay. Otherwise, give me a 15 or better to get out of the way of the falling debris.
I do not get out of the way of the falling debris.
All right.
I rolled a 10.
Okay. So again, this is all it's old stone. It's not all there. It's not like a whole entire floor is coming down on top of you. Right. It's like a minor landslide is basically what's happening here. So, gosh, how would you roll damage? Something like a.
I mean, how many
hit points work?
So we have a pretty everybody. Right? I think everybody took Bloodthirsty as their primary, and then we added 2. So everybody's got roughly, just for scale, 7 hit points to start. Typically, a hit does damage. Heavy hits do 2 damage. Really heavy hits would do 3 damage, right? So,
okay, let's do 2 damage. So the ceiling fell in on you. You guys take 2 damage. Like I said, Tony, you were a Thrag. You were able to you have sneaky, so you were able to just dodge out of the way of that.
Yeah.
You guys aren't pinned or anything, but it did
an aquatic. Boom.
So that comes, and then you see from the shadows of where that came, where that was, you see her manifesting out of those shadows up above where that second floor fell down on you.
It's because I butt bombed. Spell Sword. We are playing. We are playing a game called Down We Go, but we are doing it with magic and shit, which is a zine that Levi, who's running it for us, has on right now, and we're actually running through an adventure that he's got. He developed a little while ago that hasn't come out yet, called "The Lonely Curse of Roma
Fitterty."
And so, doing that. So we're just doing some good old OSR goodness, and so yeah, I got out of the way, so I'm not hurt. I heard the creak,
and
I flipped.
You can react. You can react to what has happened.
whose weapon has been dropped on the ground? That's the real question. When you guys got hit, did you hold on to your weapons?
You're
I
vet.
mean,
You're able to hold on to your weapons, no problem.
Oh no, I need one of their weapons. That's the only problem. Yeah, they can get
I
up.
would.
Go ahead.
Tony, I would offer to help, but I figure that like Rapine was probably too busy posing up a storm to actually do anything. He was just like, and then it fell on him. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I can't help.
Just having been in dungeons a lot before, there's only one item I have in my kit that I think is going to be remotely helpful at this point in time. So he reaches down into a pouch and pulls out a hand full of like small white, like a small white grainy substance. And I'm going to use my other acrobatics for the day to get up high again, because I'm assuming they're still floating up in the rafters. Is that correct?
Like halfway.
Right.
You can throw it. You can throw it.
Well, once it's out of my hand, it's going to dissipate pretty quickly because it's salt. So he's gonna flip up, and this time, as he gets up to height, hopefully, yep, that's a 22. So I'm gonna cast this handful of holy salt, of blessed salt, at this apparition, and try to hit it with this giant thing of holy salt.
Yeah, right on. Roll for it. 15 or better. Bless
Ooh,
salt.
can I help? Can I help on this? Because
this round was the round that it fell on you. He was able to roll away.
right.
So this next round, you guys do have that initiative, so you'll be able to go back to back.
Okay.
So I throw the holy salt. It poofs out into a cloud, and hits the area. Thanks to that +1, where this thing is floating around.
All right. Well, again, blessed. I never heard of blessed salt before, but I love it.
That's the great thing about being raised like Catholic, playing OSR things is all the secret inside outside, like here are the holy items that are good for exorcisms.
I love it. Let's do it. Yeah. So you throw the holy salt disperses in this cloud, and she hates it. She just it's like she just immediately just repels from it, and just comes, rather than being kind of in the shadows and away from the party. Now she's repelled herself, trying to get away from this cloud of blessed salt. She comes around more to the center of the inside of the church there. Actually,
the secular appearance of salt is what was that Disney movie where the witch? It's like Sarah Jessica Parker and it's 3 sister witches who are on Halloween trying to come back.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
They use salt in that movie extensively to fight the witches. So that's the best secular mention of salt as a weapon against the undead I can pull out. Usually it's just used to trap, move, or banish them in different ways. So cool. Yeah, that's my move. So basically just trying to give my compatriots some time to drag themselves out from underneath the...
And again, that was I'll let you have that move basically at the end of the round. So she did her move at the end of her round, basically stole these guys' actions, did a little bit of damage. You were able to get away. So now it's back up to initiative. We start with Rapina.
Rapina's really confused. He doesn't really know what's going on. We already sent this ghost on a stairway to heaven, and yet it's come back. So he's gonna climb out of the rubble. He's gonna sort of pose again, like kneel down, sword like forehead on his sword, hold his hands up, and he's gonna say, "Good God of Rock, speak your wisdom to me." And then he's gonna cast divination, which is ask deity, and I get an answer to any one question. And the question is, how do we defeat this ghost that we're battling? Oh, no. What is the source of this ghost that we are battling?
Say your question again. I'm sorry.
What is the source of the ghost that we are battling?
And are you asking the ghost?
No, I'm asking the God of Rock.
He's using one of his abilities.
He's actually
one of my abilities.
The answer comes clearly to you. This is Rona Finnerty. The woman who was burned unjustly at the stake for her false crimes against the constable. And then when everybody forgot about her and moved on, she haunted this place, and she has burned it to the ground over and over and over and over and over again for since for 50 years.
Okay,
That's
easy
it.
to give a nod and say, "God of Rock, once again, you have blessed me with your wisdom," and that's the end of his action.
Fair enough. All right, and Borba.
So we're in a church. Are there like pews lining the area?
No, there's nothing that flammable in here at all.
Okay.
It was just stones, and the all that stuff burned away a long time ago. Now it was just literally stone and that bell. That's half buried bell.
Okay. We're gonna take a swing at the ghost again, yelling, "I'm gonna send you on the highway to hell." I'm sure there's somebody in chat who hates me right now. Oh boy, this is not good. I rolled a 9, so.
Oh yeah, spell sword, because I didn't mention that earlier. It's a lot of 80s and rock jokes, with a good amount of Billy Joel thrown in for just how they measure.
I don't know how Billy Joel got into there, but there's been we've had Led Zeppelin, we've had Black Sabbath, we've had Iron Maiden. We're in good company.
Spell sword Studios
You're
says
sitting in
it'll
the
allow
chat
it.
and you're wondering why these puns are coming forth. I mean, it is a
a metal, yeah, a metal. So.
All right, Thrag.
The Thrag is going to he's actually going to make his way up to the front of towards that bell. He's going to start making his way there. I imagine it's probably across the church. So,
but this is we're talking like small town church here. This is not a big church, so yeah, it's you can literally take your movement and just get over there and still have time to do something if you like.
I'm going to hit my sword, the flat of my sword, against the bell.
Okay,
nice move.
There we go. You're just hard
attempt to ring this bell. That's it.
Okay, so immediately puts her hands over her ears and starts that blood curdling scream again. It just stops what she's doing. So she was poised to attack you. You hit the bell. Hands go over the ears. She starts screaming. Stop what she was doing.
I mean, in that case, I'll hit it again.
The form of ash and ember and fire, that blackened, sucked up, gross, skeletal form, almost seems to waver when you did that. Almost like it did damage.
I react the same way when I hear Kenny G.
That's the big bad evil in this setting is Kenny G.
Kenny G.
All right, so you guys, he's the evil deity, is Kenny G. All right, so that was your action this round. Now it comes to her action. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, Thrag, she didn't like you ringing that bell at all. And she points her hand, and then you burst into flame.
Ooh.
The magic abilities just work, right? There's no saves.
That's really up to you. For players, their purchased abilities work. I mean, I think for you as the GM, if an ability works, it works. If you tell us to roll, we roll. Like, that's just whatever you tell us.
Sure. So you burst into flames, like your clothes burst into, like, not your skin or not your beard or anything like that, but your clothing items.
Thank God.
burst into flames. Beards are impervious. For 2 damage. You're literally wreathed in a shroud of flame. She really, really didn't like you ringing that bell.
All right.
All right, and then that's round. She's setting people on fire, knocking things over. The inside of the church is starting to heat up again.
Player to player. I've got a bunch of things I could do, but I don't know which one to go for.
I think you should be doing all of them. You can.
You got all those sweet potions.
Did you take? You did take those potions. Did you take smite?
I did. So I'm wondering if, because I've got one ability point left, and I could either do cleanse, which banishes an unholy effect, so it could stop Thrag being on fire, I assume. Or I could use it for smite later on to take her out. Or I'm wondering if something to do with the bell. I'm wondering if there's something underneath the bell as well. So it might be useful for me just to run over and flip the bell, or try and flip the bell over and see if there's something beneath it.
You should definitely do one of those things. Those are all three great things to do.
I think so, but which one? Which one?
Well, I'm going to be able to act also, so I can A, hit the bell, B, try to pour some water over myself. I've got a canteen. I've also got a canteen filled with beer. So we just got to make sure I pick the right one. And then, because it's the good beer. And then Dean's going to go also too. So, I mean, just pick one and then we'll do the other things.
All right. In which case, or I could try and talk to it. What do you reckon?
I mean,
I will say that he does not seem to be very reasonable at this time.
Yeah.
Right.
I am on fire and I'm filled with rage. That's her whole vibe.
Chucky T says, "Save the beard." We've already established the beard is not in danger. Though I appreciate that sentiment. By the way, if you need any balm for your beard, you can go to +1exp.com. It's like a low-key LARP for your day. Boost your personal stats with some stat boosting beard balm from +1 Experience. All the money goes to help support independent tabletop role-playing game projects. Also, you guys are the first to see this. These arrived today.
Ooh.
This is my game. Beards and Beyond. It's just the print copies just showed up today. So
I want a copy for sure.
There you go. So that said, you should definitely do one of those things. I don't think talking to her at this point is the one to do, but you should definitely go.
Okay, well, in which case, I'm going to chug a potion. I'm going to chug the potion called a potion of spite.
All right.
I have no idea what does it do.
You take
this is
you take 5 damage.
Yeah. This is not the first time that Rapine has pulled the top off something and just drunk it without knowing what's in it. This is maybe the 20th time he's done this, but it's always worked so far. So let's see what happens.
Last time it was Coors Light.
Always worked as a variable thing. Rapine has always walked away from the experience. I don't know that always worked as a good description of what has happened. So, no, I love this. I actually, because you said that, I went through and crossed out all the potions I have and just wrote a bunch of weird descriptors next to my potions also too. I think the potion of spite, we'll do whatever Levi decides it's gonna do.
Yeah, no, for sure. You chugged the potion. That's what it does this round. You stand back. You do your rock ballad song. You strip that potion. That's what you're doing this round. Now, Borba.
So player to player, I can attack it, or I can throw up a wall, because I actually have wall as one of my spells.
Sure.
And by attack it, I mean attack the bell. So do you think I should go for the bell, or should I put up a defensive wall for Thrag there?
I think of this. I'm already on fire. And I love that you guys are so fixated on me being on fire. It actually means a whole lot to me. But I think killing this thing is almost always, unless you're making me not on fire. Absolutely, hurting this thing is the way to go.
Okay.
And Dean, and after all, we're just another brick in the wall at the end of it. So.
Does
Chucky T is also suggesting that we start mixing the potions that we don't know what do.
That's a great idea.
And Jarbison1 says that Levi's beard is a lot shorter than the last time he saw it. Was it a victim of fire? Is this some sort of revenge fantasy that you're living So yeah, I mean, whatever you decide to do is fine. If you're not putting me out, I think hurting the thing is better, and I always think hurting the thing is better also too.
I mean, I could splash a healing potion on you, but I don't think that'll take out the fire per se. It just hurt less. So
Yeah.
I'll take my axe. Probably not the blade end for obvious non-bell breaking reasons. I'm gonna take it and hit the bell in order to damage the apparition here.
Okay, yeah, the same thing happens when Thrag hit it. That reverberation almost seems to do damage to it. Its form seems to waver. Like almost like a when you're watching TV and you get that blip that those lines that run through the picture on the TV. It's almost like that with her. Like you're disrupting that incorporeal form. Yep. But for sure,
Okay.
she did not like it. Definitely did some sort of harmful effect or damage. All right, and Thrag, you're on fire.
I am. And unfortunately, there's really not a lot I can do about it. I'm going to. I'm gonna hit the. Well, how big is this bell that we're hitting?
Again, the bell is like the size of comparable, like a picnic basket, maybe a little bit bigger, like this big.
Cool.
Okay, like 10 diameter. Okay.
It's not one of those Liberty Bell size.
Can I pick up the bell?
If you were able to jar it out of the earth, because remember it fell and then it sunk.
Perfect.
If you're able to jar it out of the earth, you could.
That tells me what I need to know. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the bell also too.
Okay, so he just hit the bell. It's still vibrating and ringing. You hit it as well. No additional effect this round. Again, it seems to irritate her, but as far as damage goes, it's just me basically telling you that you can hit it once around. It will do damage once around.
Okay.
Hitting the bell.
Tony, for flavor's sake, I like to believe that Thrag is completely okay about being on fire.
Yes.
Because it's not the first. It's not the first time he's been on fire.
It's not the first time this week.
And that's another thing. The flames only lasted a round. It's only a round that you're on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there. Your clothes are on fire, but the damage, as far as the damage that you were taking, you took one round of damage. You're not taking continual damage every round.
Yeah. So
but your clothes are on fire.
Yeah.
But
El Hernandez is really upset that not a single for whom the bell tolls joke has been made, by the way. My character communicates in a monosyllabic way. I don't have any way to do that.
He's right.
Okay, so that's actually El Hernandez. He is actually the one of the artists on the project.
Awesome.
And he made that super cool cover that is literally getting like 3,000 likes on Instagram.
Yeah, I've got I popped it up earlier when we were talking about it. I'm actually going to pull here. I got it. I don't know if you can see it, but that's kind of an abridged version of it right there. The banner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very Black Sabbath, very old acid rock, sort of really cool throwback stuff. But we haven't really even talked about the project that much, but he's 80% of why this thing even exists.
Yeah.
He's a big part of this. Anyways, so Thrag, you're still on fire, but not taking damage.
Not as on fire as I was before.
Yeah, you're on fire, but you're not on fire. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
He got better.
So now poor Rome Affinity. It's her turn. Oh, and you took the potion of spite. Excellent. That's important to remember. All right, so she flies into a rage using her rage ability. That's a double damage thing, right, Tony?
Rage is usually make 2 attacks in this thing, but
Make
if
two attacks.
if it's double damage, I mean you do it that way also too. Like you're the GM, so like their abilities don't have to work like our abilities.
Okay, well let's just she's just going to do double damage.
Okay.
Who hit it last? Who hit the bell last?
I hit the bell last, but it didn't do anything. Dean hit the bell last effectively.
Right.
Okay, so it's going to be between you and Dean. Borba and Thrag. Oh, Borba. All right. So enraged by striking this, you found her weakness. She just hurls headlong coming to attack you. And she still has to roll for an attack, right? When using rage.
He would roll defense on that, so he would make a defense roll, and so you're gonna try to roll to avoid.
Okay, so what am I? What
You're gonna roll a d20.
Okay.
Since this is not just a cannon fodder monster, you're gonna be trying to beat a 15, and if you have whatever you have in sneaky, if you have anything, we'll give a bonus to that.
Okay, so nothing. All right, let's roll this. Oh no. Well, I get the +1 from Tony, which gives me a total of 2.
Yes, that's only to hit, not to defend.
All right. So it is double damage because we decided against 2 attacks we're gonna do double damage. All right. And for those of you guys in the chat, like we just picked up these rules like 30 minutes before we started, so we're all learning together. All right. Besides Tony,
I know they work. They're an A5 sheet of paper, like they're a half sheet.
No, for sure. We're all rolling dice in the dark.
Yeah.
All right. So Borba, 4 points of damage. She just lands on you and just rending you to pieces with those wickedly long claws. And every time she strikes you, you're just catching on fire. It's an inferno of claws and death.
Okay.
All right. So 4 on that one. All right, that was her attack. But now she is down on the ground. Now, getting into the next round, the smite potion. All right, you've got your sword of flame up. You notice your sword of flame turns into a sword of crackling cold flame.
Ooh, that is very cool. All right, well, with the final move, watching my bandmate Barber, even though he wants to be the front man, I'm kind of like, do I just let him? We can always find another backup musician. It's fine. We've been through a few in the past. But then his good heart takes over, and he runs up. He raises the sword above his head, and he jams it down. And while jamming his blade of cold flame down, he casts Smite at the same time.
Can you attack and use the ability at the same time?
Usually it's one or the other.
Okay, in which case, for flavor's sake, I will jam the sword down, and that will be my smite.
Okay, go for it.
Which does 3 hits, 2 against an unholy target.
Actually, it turns out that she's holy. She's a holy avenger. Heals her.
Okay, so Thrag, what you see this sword of I guess flaming cold pierce through this horrible creature's chest, and literally all the flames snuff out. Rome Affinity, the ghost of Rome Affinity, she locks eyes with Thrag and looks at the bell. Looks at you and looks at the bell. Or I guess with Borba and Thrag. She looks at you as the sword is piercing her chest. She looks at the two of you and then looks at the bell and back up at you. Yeah, her form is almost flickering. It's flickering. You've done quite a bit of damage.
Thrag, after you.
I hit the bell.
Boom, you hit the bell. Scream of exultation, rage, pain, all washes away in an instant. Boom, she's gone. Sword snuffs out. The tolling from the bell is all you hear. The smoke that was rising just kind of dissipates. The heat that was in the room just being sucked away by the winter. Quiet as our church mouse in there.
I'm going to pop a healing potion because I'm down to 1. For reference.
I'm going to suggest that the Blade of Flaming Cold should be the name of our difficult second album.
Thrag has doubts.
But Thrag, that name you've suggested has far too many syllables. It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
I'm gonna start to kind of scoop the kind of earth around the bell out and away, and start trying to dig it out.
No, for sure. In doing so, like you can feel the heat that was so prevalent. It's pretty rapidly starting to leach away. Like all the supernatural element that was present, the embers and the ash and all that stuff gone. Whatever that haunting that you'd seen earlier, whatever was here before, when by piercing, by killing the ghost and hitting the bell at the same time, gone. Whatever you did, you ended the curse. So
She's gone.
For the
Like
night.
No, I can't even do it. Sorry. That one would have been really bad.
Now's the time.
She fled out of here like a bat out of hell.
You could James loved that one. Jarvis. Yep. So you were able to pull the bell up out of the ground. It's pretty bad off, but you do feel like it has some sort of meaning, of course. Anything else? Probably need to sit
we'll look around. Thrag will want to check underneath. You guys can tell Thrag wants to give this place a good once over as far as like looking underneath the floorboards. Like this is the only part of town that was left.
There's no floorboards. It's all
floorboards, but yeah, the looking around the floor and kind of just checking things. Was
there? Sorry, Tony. Was there anything left behind once Roma vanished into ash? Was there anything left behind? Was there any residue?
Absolutely not. No, there was nothing left behind. In fact, all that's the only thing is that nostalgic. That's like, well, I remember earlier I said that slightly nostalgic city smell. Like you're not even sure why it smells nostalgic, but something about it just reminds you of another time. Some sort of weird, maybe Frontiers Woman perfume. I don't know. Nope.
I'm gonna go and look in the fissure that she came out of. You said the ground exploded. There was a hole in the ground. I'm just gonna have a look in there, see if there's anything. See if that's changed in any way.
No. This was again with your it's a holy. You got a holy. Make your holy roll. Holy roll.
Your holy roller.
Oh, that's yes. 15. Straight up 15.
So yeah, you're figuring that's where she was hung, or that's where her body had been interred, or at some point. Obviously, her remains or something, because she was burned at the stake. So you're thinking that's whatever tied her to, but besides spite, whatever tied her to the material plane was in there somewhere at some point. But she's she's gone now.
Well, just as a character moment, then he'll kneel down and he'll pick up a handful of dirt and he'll say, "The God of Rock has blessed your peace."
Kind of like everyone's like, "Man, all we are is dust in the wind." Like,
how dare you, sir?
Carry on, my wayward son.
Yeah, I think we after we give everything a good once over, we probably just we rest as much as we can for the night.
Yeah.
Because it's about a day's trek back, right?
Sure. Now, you do give the church a good once over.
Actually, here let's Kieran needs a quick break. Let's go ahead and take a short break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more, and then we'll do stick around. We're going to talk a little bit about this project specifically with Levi at the end after we wrap up our venture. But we're going to just take a 5-minute break, and we will be right back. All right, and we are live again, playing with magic and shit. We've got Levi Combs with us, running us through the Lonely Curse of Roma, and I can never remember
Infinity.
that. And from Planet X Games, I'm having a blast. We've been heavy metaling our way as some sort of weird hybrid of a rock band and mid-level adventuring party, and it's been a blast. We're using Down We Go as the system behind it, which is like a half-page minimalist OSR system that is really easy to pick up and run with anything, and we're gonna hop back into it.
Yeah, just like to say that like this is the way role playing should be: is if four guys who don't really know each other can sit down and have fun playing a game. That's how it should be. Imagine how much fun you have with people that you're with all the time, or who are your group or your friends that you're more comfortable around. You know, that's again how it should be.
Yeah.
So the rules light system is just, to me, it just is perfect.
Yeah, and
You
like
know,
for me, the other thing, it's just like the great thing about OSR, period, right? Especially like, and I think Planet X resources do this really well. Here's a bunch of stuff. If it doesn't explain it, like figure it out. Like figure it out. I did a 2-page RPG a little while ago, and you know, like there's the Ben Milton's OSR like principles, right? The principle apocrypha, like is something OSR or not? And I did that for this 2-page RPG, but the player rule was like have fun. And the GM rule was like, if it doesn't tell you how, just figure it out. Like, you know, like
yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely. You know, and that's kind of one of the things that we do is it's really core to what we do is we give you a lot of stuff. Like, hey, here's 10 ideas. You don't have to use them all. Just take what works for you, and you can just shit can the rest. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, just take what you plug and play. Boom. I can bring design to the table, and then boom. Okay, you know, I can use these 3 ideas, and I don't have to use the rest of it. You know.
Yeah.
It's a resource, and that's all.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Like, yeah. Like I said, no. I think you're absolutely right. And that's again, when I played this with Marcus, I told him, like when I played Down with Go the first time, we did a little bit of like, hey, like this would be good, maybe clarify this, but it was just a few little tweaks, and then I told him like, look, I know this is only half a page, but he's got a couple of GM tools and resources. I said, if you get like 12 pages put together, like I'd pay for a print run of this. Like it's just a really smart, easy system that's super sharp.
And a lot of it's super easy. Super easy. It was great.
Easy. So, but I love like it doesn't have anything of substance in it. So having something like magic and shit, or you know, an adventure module that you can just plug it into to give you all the rest of that stuff, like that's the kind of thing I love, is seeing those two types of things come together. And so so absolutely. All right. We had what
You were exploring the ruins of the church.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, predictably, you do find something beneath a couple shattered flagstones. There does appear to have been something that has been squirreled away by who knows. Wasn't Rome Affinity, you know? She's just a poor girl who was hanged here. But maybe whoever the church belonged to beforehand, maybe somebody came along behind her. Maybe it was some of those people who your friend Jeb in the tavern was talking about. You don't know. Doesn't matter. You peel those flagstones back, and you do find a chest, but it's not a treasure chest. It's not what a typical locked chest with a big bolt on the front of it, made of wood and and metal bindings. It's in fact, it's not really like anything that you've ever seen before. Covered in soot, covered in ash, covered in dust. You have to you pull it out, and you have to blow it off before you can make out any of the details on it.
We'll get a little Foley going.
Yeah. So I got a picture of it right here. Go ahead and push that bad boy up.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think Indiana Jones is going to go find that.
I don't know that I want to open that.
Give you a quick description on this fella here, real quick. All right. Once you blow all the soot and ash off, it is a grand looking chest. It's made of wood, and the wood is carved with representations of sleek, almost feline looking hounds with human like faces that bay gleefully at a full moon. the chest appears to be modeled from like an older era, at a different time. It speaks of antiquity, and it's fitted with corners that are forged from blackened iron. On the front is a heavy lock that's fashioned to resemble a snarling devil's head. One side of it, one side of the chest, it bears a short script, but I'm fairly certain that none of you can read it. It's kind of a flowing but harsh looking script. Again, had been previously covered in ash, so it's fairly dirty. But
I see some Russian on the side.
Definitely inscription on the side. So are there any languages in this system?
No,
Like
but mystical is willpower logic. So theoretically, somebody could make a mystical roll. Whether if they have the stat points in it, they would get the bonuses. If not,
if you got mystical, go ahead and roll.
To figure it out.
I'm gonna roll it because I got 2 points of mystical. So let's see what we got. 17.
Hey, nice.
So you can't read it, but you do recognize the script, the language. You've seen the language before, although you can't read it. You just recognize the way that it's written, and it's the secret tongue of necromancers. It's a language called Neklios.
Like
you know what it says. You know that it's the secret tongue of necromancers.
Right. This is written in Neklios. It looks like it's the secret tongue of necromancers.
Wow, that's man. Thinking back, none of the people none of the stories. It was like the constable, the towns, like who kind of had engineered this, but there was no hint of necromancy.
Not in the least. Like literally this much necromancy in that little crappy end of the road town.
Okay,
0%.
That may have something to do with what happened here, though. Evil spirit or not, this would be a decent indicator of some kind of necromancy that was cast on.
Oh, you know what? You said you had mysticism, yeah? Anybody else have mysticism? Anybody? Just you. Go ahead and roll that again and tell me what you get.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, so you're looking at this thing.
So that's an 11 modified.
You can't read it, but you know it's the tongue of necromancers. That's as far as that lead goes. But you are looking at the rest of it. Locke looks like some sort of demon's head. Who knows what that is? But you're looking at these figures, these hounds or felines or whatever they are, that have these weirdly human faces. And let me show you that again. Sorry, one more time. If you can see. Sorry, if you can see the little guys there, this little.
Oh, I see on the side.
Yeah,
like great cats with human faces.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, you know that those are some sort of supernatural being. You don't know what the name is. You don't know what they do or what the significance is, but they definitely are it's not something of the mortal world. It's something it's a supernatural being.
I want to get Kieran's character's attention here and point at the human-faced cats here. It's like, you're a Judas priest. Do you know what do you think you might be able to find out what this is? It seems supernatural in nature.
I'll if you roll high enough, we can, by pooling your knowledge together, maybe you could figure something out. So go for it.
Sure, I'll roll with Holy and see where I get with that.
Well, while he's doing that, Marcus Linderham, the creator of Down We Go, I'm guessing it's morning in Sweden right now. Good morning, Marcus. This is not an adventure from Magic and Shit. This is another project that Levi put together called The Lonely Curse of Roman
Roma
Finnerty. Finnerty. I'm getting closer every time. Roma Finnerty. But this has got some Magic and Shit items and stuff thrown into it. And that's what we're exploring right now is that. And
so I rolled an 18.
Okay. So these creatures on the side, they're known as Yeth hounds, and they're these the little that you know about them. You read about them in some sort of in passing, in some sort. You saw a picture of them one time, 5 years ago or whatever during your studies. But these interdimensional beings that are usually called to track and hunt down prey. So the person who either controls the Yeth Hound or has summoned the Yeth Hound can bring them to bear on a foe. So suppose you did me wrong and I summoned up my Yeth Hounds. Hey, go get Kieran. They'll drag you back to my feet.
So Rupine looks at Barbara and Thrag and says, and explains about the Yeth Hounds and says, so did Roma bring the hounds, or did the hounds come to Roma? Were they roamering the land?
A crack of thunder you hear outside. Yeah.
That was
dare
fun
you.
to fun.
Well, I mean, we can always open this up to try to find out what it is.
Yeah, all right.
Yep. Let's try that.
Unless we listen to Jar Bison 1 and says put the chest back.
I rolled 16 plus 2 is 18.
Nice.
To open it?
Yep.
Now, are you trying to? There's a lock on it. Are you trying to pick the lock?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So you're able to where the horn. There's the demon's head of the horns. The horns are like this, and then you pick the lock. The horns come in like so, and you realize you've unlocked the lock. And then you open it.
I mean, with my sword. I mean, I flip the lid.
Yeah.
Flip the
No,
lid
I
back.
get it. You're standing around at a distance. Pop this bad boy open. Yeah, and you pop the inside open. So the inside. Do you know what an ossuary is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like a for those of you who don't know, it's a like a place where you like a tomb where you would put bones. And the inside of the chest is filled with dozens of small human bones.
Can I oh, sorry, go ahead.
Small, like baby bones?
Small, like either little tiny midget people or brownies or really small halflings or children.
Oof.
Can I roll a mystic to kind of get an idea why someone would plant this here?
I'm so sorry.
Can I roll a mystical to figure out why someone might plant this here?
No. The thing is, I mean, there's not much to say. You just don't know. You don't know why this is here. It doesn't feel like it's associated with Rome Affinity's curse. There's no fire. There's no flame. This seems not so much incidental, but as to be something else. Maybe something in the church's past. Maybe they did mention that it was the Church of Hecate. Hecate being like the three-faced crone of magic.
Right.
Right.
Well, this seems like a terrifying item that our characters would probably not be actually that uncomfortable to have with them, and probably deeply want to figure out.
So as you're examining, you've got it open. You're like, are those the bones of children? Like what? And just a very slight white mist begins to rise from the bones.
I'm gonna.
Very slowly, not like the smoke that was coming from the stones in the thing. This is almost like literally like fog rising from the interior of the chest.
Are we talking like Raiders of the Lost Ark, opening up the Lost Ark kind of fog coming out?
Like, thunder and a swirling light and spirits or anything.
I want to close it.
Got it.
And I want to reverse lockpick it.
All right,
Totally.
you pull the horns back like this, it locks. Okay.
Right.
Totally freaked out. Rupine's like, should we just leave it here?
I mean, yeah.
Some unholy thing should not be uncovered.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's it's a box that comes from a different age of time. It shouldn't be here. You don't know why it's been hidden underneath these flagstones. It's got Yeth hounds and demons and the language of necromancers on the side of it. When you open it up, it had children's bones in it. So you definitely know it's not really a positive, sunny day kind of item. So
right. It's a different kind of bad than we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think.
You're right. This thing probably does come with some kind of curse we shouldn't touch.
Thrag will kind of heave it up over his shoulder, making it clear that he's willing to carry it.
Yeah, and it's not like a giant, chest like Ark of the Covenant. It's more like this big, like.
But and then he'll point to the bell, and like, go.
Right.
I look at Barber.
I got it.
That's the thing. You don't know if this was hidden here by the forces of evil and for them to come back and get, or to keep it out of the hands of good, or if it was put here by good to keep it out of the hands of evil, or something completely different. There's just you have no context as to why it's here. You would have to undergo a quest taking this to somebody who knows more about it, and then find out what needs to be done with it. But that's for another stream.
That was awesome. No, I love it. I love it. Thanks, Levi. Thanks so much for running us through this adventure. Thanks so much for letting us play with some magic and shit. That was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
We do a thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we do a thing here on +1. Called Reaction Roll. Reaction Roll is a live stream within a live stream where we sit down and talk to the creator of a game or a piece of content, whether that's an adventure, a module, or a supplement, and talk about what we just played. Today, we are talking to Levi Combs from Planet X Game about Magic and Shit, their project that is live on Kickstarter right now. I have already backed this, but we are going to look at the Kickstarter page in just 1 second. But Levi also ran us through an adventure that is going to come out at some point in the future, but this was the first public playtest of it, called The Lonely Curse of Roma Finnerty. So most of this is my inability to read my own handwriting. But I'm super excited. I'm going to share my thoughts in just 1 minute, and we'll do a short review video for this sometime later on this week, specifically for Magic and Shit, also too, before the campaign closes. But let's meet our other players real quick, have them introduce themselves and share what their thoughts were. So let's start with Kieran. Kieran, tell people who you are, where they can find you, and then if you have any questions for Levi or any thoughts about the campaign, let them know what they were.
All right. So my name is Kieran Mathers. I run the Dark Peaks publishing company. We create D&D 5th edition content. We create original systems. We have an original system out at the moment called the Dark Peaks Deepmore, which was played and reviewed on this channel. Tony really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed running the crew through the opening event to that. You can find us on Facebook at The Dark Peaks. You can find us on Twitter at Tails Peaks. And for this month only, we are running a discount on the Dark Peaks Deepmore, dropping the price from $14.99 to $9.99. The price of 2 cups of coffee can get you 96 pages of full color, full-on OSR, grim darkness. If you like Darkest Dungeon, you're going to like the Dark Peaks.
Sold.
What were your thoughts on just getting to play around with 2 of Levi's creations? Did you have a good time?
Oh, I loved it. That was so much fun. Like, that was it. Firstly, like you were saying earlier, like how good it was to just have 4 guys who don't really know each other, just sit around and roll some dice and have a great time. I agree with you. Like the system played to that really nicely. The story built really nicely as well. I really enjoyed that. I apologize for all the rock references.
No, it's wonderful. The puns were wonderful. I love it. Favorite part.
In terms of so this is the first playtest of the adventure. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Magic and Shit is it's not an adventure booklet. It's actually a zine full of magic items and artifacts that all have a kind of not so much a heavy metal bend to them, but are inspired by that whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
The whole and not like death metal or anything. I'm talking about a specific kind of like boogie van 70s 80s. Black Sabbath, Metallica, or Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. Again, I was talking about this is the design that you want if you were that kid that had long hair and you had a copy of Ride the Lightning rattling around in the bottom of your floorboard and in your little AMC Pacer. Like, this and if you're that kid who grew up and you still like to roll dice, then this is going to be the zine for you.
So how do you think it went? Like, do you think the stuff that you put into this really helped you create that feeling that you were aiming for?
Oh, like we had a good time. Regardless, the number one most important thing for me is that people have a good time. No, nothing's worse than sitting down and 5-10 minutes in, you just know that no, I can't do it. Like this is going to be awful. So it's nice to be able to sit down with 3 guys I've never met before and just, like I said, just roll a few dice and have some laughs. And the material comes second to the fact that you're having a good time. Which who wants to spend a night doing anything and not having a good time? So.
I agree. I have one more question, if I may.
Sure.
When I'm doing stuff for the Dark Peaks, I'm generally designing for feel. So for me, I'm thinking about what would make a cool adventure, and then I'm trying to put the mechanics together. After that, what would make a cool game? What kind of feeling do I want for the game? In terms of your approach, do you go feeling mechanics, or is it mechanically driven? How would you?
Sorry, go ahead.
Or I would just say, like, how would you? Tell us a bit about your design process.
Oh, I'm always really interested to see how people how they make their games, because everyone does it differently. I'll start out sometimes with just a name. Like that's how the Curse of Roma, the Curse of Roma Finity even came. I just thought, oh, that sounds like a cool sort of like Tarantino-esque sort of sounding like a chapter to something, And then I started thinking about it. Well, then you can put in this burned down church, and then there's this ghost and this whole legend and kind of a Salem witch trial thing. And but sometimes I'll just sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and I'll say, all right, well, I'm going to do I want to do something that is going to be The Hills Have Eyes meet Plan 9 from Outer Space, and then just see what happens. And then next thing I know, I've got 3 pages of crap written down, so it stems from a lot from that. Like some people start out with a map and then go from that. Maps are usually like the last thing that I do. So again, it's always interesting to see everybody's design process, because it seems everyone does it differently.
Love it. Awesome. Dean, where can people find you at, and what were your thoughts about this magic and shit that we were just messing with?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Geekus Dean. That's GEEKUS, then Dean. I really don't do anything at the moment that's worth bringing out. So if you want to follow me to hear me complain about things, feel free. As far as the campaign goes, I like it. I like your use of old supernatural superstition. I've delved a bit into that just out of my own personal curiosity. So I like the Hecate and whatnot. So this is really good. And I also like, because I don't see this in a lot of RPGs, well, besides saving the prefab ones, that the one of the ways to win is to strike the bell. Most people just straight up just attack the creature. So having a puzzle element to it, even if it's not super puzzly, is really nice to have, because it builds more into the story rather than it would be just attacking all out like what I was doing initially. But yeah, I like it as a whole. I think I could definitely see myself putting some money behind this in the future and then running it with my friends. Once everything's released and I can get them together. maybe the post-COVID days for my friends. So.
I really thought that Kieran was going to use the potion to summon the weather summoning potion. I thought you were going to use it to summon rain.
I also want to apologize for the metal puns, by the way.
But it was just as cool, despite the the ice sword through the chest, and then she's looking at the two of you like, please end my misery, and you get it. So you hit the bell, and it all comes together, and it's nice.
Dee, did you have any questions for Levi?
Not at this time. I'm kind of looking forward to it. And this is, I'm assuming, because I'd like to be sure, this is a medieval setting, or is this like a modern medieval mix up?
Yeah. So again, this adventure is not part of Magic and shit. This is just something that I'm using to showcase one of the items. And obviously the item was the chest that you found, which is called the Ossuary of Yeth.
Yeah.
Yeth Hound being an old, first edition and going on back sort of monster. Yeah. And from folklore too. So
let me pick up on that. Actually, like, that's one of the things I love about the supplement. Like, I'm going to pop up the Kickstarter page again. I had it up just a second ago. We were talking about it. Right now, you had a goal of $500. You guys are at almost 10 times that right now, running up on that. Nice. Hopefully, by the time you wake up tomorrow, you're over that. You've got 16 more days to go, so you've got a lot of legs in front of you on this campaign. We've got all this phenomenal art. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about the artist in just one second. But I love that because it's a supplement, and because of the way you wrote it, and because of some of those puzzle elements, it's really evident for me from both the adventure and just from having looked through the different items and other pieces on here, and the way that you expounded upon them, right? That you commonly are weaving in small details that a GM can pull out and make a puzzle and make something that's not just I roll a dice, I smack them for this much, they roll a dice, they smack me for that much process, but something that they can actually kind of continually tease out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. The danger was clear and projected for the ossuary at the end. As you go through and you look at some of the different art on this page, the mummified hand of Gilly Yonder, like even just the naming, right? Like it's very clear what it is, but then it's obvious that you've tied in lore to everything, or the possibility for lore, right? Which I just think is phenomenal. And so whether somebody finds that in a modern setting, in a modern supernatural setting, or whether they're in a fantasy world tracking through all this darkness, I think it would work equally well in either one. Like, I think this is a very broad thing because you're creating a sense of history to the item. And I would love to know, are you somebody who loves history? Is that something that like really drives what you do? Obviously, there's a lot of the feeling of capturing a certain, like you said, a certain feeling of time, like with some of that heavy metal vibe, the 80s and the 90s, early 90s, even a little bit, the 70s. Like if you look at Planet X, like Instagram feed, which is amazing, like you guys are constantly posting out different movies and stuff. There's this sense of a rich love of like lore almost. Is that something you sense in your own personal life? Do you know where that kind of comes from, or ways that you explore that?
Well, okay, so like, what's cooler? You kill a guy or kill a monster and you find a cloak of displacement. Is it cooler to get the cloak of displacement, or is it cooler to get the grave shroud of Nanthos the Black? And then you got this cool illustration, you've got a little bit of history, here's the powers, and then you have a lore block at the end of it. I love all those little details. Even if you don't use them, that's the whole purpose of these zines and these products, is that you can take what you like out of them, use a little bit here, and you know what? You may never use the mummified hand of Gilly Yonder, but man, that plot hook that I stuck in there, you might take that and use it for something completely different. So on that end, that's where all that comes from. As far as like the Instagram page and if you follow it, you know that I have a really deep love, not just grindhouse movies and B movies and terrible movies, but I love cinema, man. I love comics. I love, fantasy and sci-fi fiction. I love all that stuff, man. I'm the biggest mark for all that stuff. There's so few franchises that I just don't like. And when it comes to that stuff, man, I'm not a hater at all, man. Give me more. People want to gripe about the latest Star Wars. That's fine. But hey, give me more, man. Now is the time of the geek. We get all of our cool stuff, man. Because I went through the lean years of the 80s and early 90s, man, where there was none of this shit. There wasn't 5 or 6 Marvel movies a year. There wasn't cartoons and sci-fi shows we had none of that, man. We had Howard the Duck, we had Batman 9. I mean, Superman 3 with with Richard Pryor. I mean, it was a lean time, man. And now we get it all, and I love it. I love it all. Give me more. And the comics are off the hook. RPGs are crazier than they've ever been. Like it's not like when people are like, like I'm not going to help this guy out, help promote his stuff because I got my own stuff. No, man, it's not a famine. It's a feast, and we are all at the trough, man. And there's so much for everybody, man. And it's just an extraordinarily creative time, especially for RPGs and the indie creator, man. I'm sorry, I could talk about this.
No. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted to hone in on like that personal piece, and I love that. And I think for me, it always manifests as like as world building. Like that is the thing that I am obsessed with. But like, there's a difference between world building and lore, and I love lore, but I've also not like I'm always like, yeah, it's a cool thing and it's fancy, and like I've gotten better at like giving things names, and then when people are like, what does that name mean? I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. Like right. And like let's find out what that name means. I realizing I don't have to know all those things, but just being able to throw out it's the necro shroud of like whatever you said, like Garny the Black or whatever. Like that is a way cooler thing. Who was he? Who knows? Like go find out.
I was that DM who named every single magic sword. Like you never got a +1 sword in my campaign. It was always, it was going to be Sharp Fang or I don't know, Conjure Doom or Zealot Bane or there's always some sort of like Fred Saberhagen sort of kind of Fafford Grey Mauser sort of name for your weapons. It was always there, and why did it have to be weapons? Why couldn't it be wands? And, why couldn't it be stabs? I mean, it could be anything, but if you just give it a little bit of personalization, man, it goes so far at the table.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because it immediately, like, as we were going in, Kieran was naming, like, just giving adjectives to his potions, and you were like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, I was going to take +1 armor, but that also seems dumb. Like, I'm going to have like the tattered denim shorts of Shadow. Like that is way more, that's way more fun.
So much better.
Like so much better, and so, I mean, just those things. And again, there's so like, in the like even like for our brand, like every once in a while I'll try like naming product lines as like blah, blah, but like the D&D nomenclature, not to just crap on D&D, but I'm gonna crap on D&D for a second. The nomenclature of like it's Tasha's Cauldron or whatever, like it's just a name and a thing. It's not, they're leaning into that evocative nature a little bit, but like I love to push it, like just turn it up to 11, right? Like to just push it a little bit further. And I think the Magic and Shit supplement, I only have the first phylactery. I need to pick up the other ones. But
hey, they came in day before yesterday.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
But like you guys take it up to that next level of, man, I could build an entire campaign around one of the items in here and exploring that, and just sprinkle all these other things through without having to provide 15, another 100 pages of supplements. It's that lore block is enough to give me enough like traction to continually hook my players into what this is. Like, I don't know what the ossuary is, right? I'm gonna find out eventually, kind of, because I'll have the book, but we would still have to play through. What are we gonna do about that, right? And so I just love how well Magic and Shit and the other stuff that I see Planet X doing does that stuff. I was thrilled to run through this adventure as another little piece of something that you guys have created, and it's coming out more, but is not part of Magic and Shit.
If I can just come in on what Tony was saying as well, like magic items like this, they're the things that players remember as well. Yeah. Like if you're any kind of level of D&D player, or any RPG player, because I've only played D&D 5e, I know what the Hand of Veth is. I've never experienced it. I've never had it in a game, but it's got that sense of history of, sorry, not the Hand of Veth, the Hand of Vex. It's got that sense of history and of lore behind it, but that's been built by 30 years of like player expectations. What you've done here is you've just got all of that stuff, 30 years of expectations, and you just put it straight into the campaign and just have it there as a GM. That's a real gift. Like that's a gift for a GM to just be like, okay, I don't need to invent all of this stuff. I've just got it, and it sounds cool. And just like Tony said, I could hang an entire campaign on this, and I think that's excellent. Like that's really, really good.
Yeah,
Like
That's
I'm
one of the-
going to get this. I'm going to put it in my campaign. I'm looking forward to it.
That's one of the things I think that that Goodman, those Goodman writers, they do so well, because you never open up a Dungeon Crawl Classics book and get a +1 sword. It's always some funky name on the sword. You never get just you never run into orcs. You know, it's beastmen. You know, they just reskin and take things. It's not even so much as it's fantasy, as it's just weird fantasy, and they do that really, really well over there. They really take that stuff and they really personalize your item, so that you're running through a funnel and I got a magic sword, but it has a name and maybe there's a little bit of history behind it. It's just a cool feeling, man. Imagine that's your first game. You're not picking up a sword, you're picking up I don't know, your Death Dealer or whatever. All of a sudden you've got this really cool magic sword, and you go home and you remember that. You're like, oh man, remember that time we killed the Beastman shaman and we ended up with Sharp Fang? That was so awesome. It's just memories. Every game is somebody's first.
Yeah. And if you look back at especially the early days of role playing, like they were creating and crafting. Like it wasn't like they didn't have a supplement to pull from. And so sometimes you'll hear these really insanely goofy names, right? Like that come out of like, this is like, why would they call it? Because that's what they called it once, but then it became this huge deal. And learning how to do that is a skill. Like you get better at that over time. Supplements help, like reading other people's work gives you ideas to make you better at that. So if somebody's ever like, well, I don't want to just pick up a supplement because I want to come up with my own ideas. Well, you've got to learn how to do that. And picking up a supplement gives you that now to learn how to play around with that. And again, I love that. I also love like building evocative motifs through the course of play, and like the stuff in Magic and Shit kind of drips with it. Let's get really practical. So if people get the Magic and Shit, in addition to like all the awesome art, like what are some of the practical things? Like how do you have a count of magic items? Like what can they kind of expect as they're flipping through this?
Yeah, so it's as it stands now, it's 30 plus magic items. It's going to be 48 pages. You got to understand that's 4 pages of covers, inside and outside covers. So that leaves about 44 pages of material inside. We might throw a cartoon in the back. We might throw something to do with like an album cover or something cool. And there might be like a forward or something. So then then you're down to 42 pages. So. But you're looking at a lot of magic items, and each one of them has, that full description. You got your powers, you get some history in there, and then you get a plot hook. You get at least a couple paragraphs of a plot hook in there, and sometimes more than one plot hook. There'll be like a rumor. Oh, it was seen here it was welded by so and so, or it was lost here. There's always something in there that you can take and work into your game, and even if you don't use that item, you might look at that rumor or plot hook and go, I can take that and incorporate it over here. Again, that's what I'm really, really big on. Are you guys familiar with the old Arduin Grimoire books or the old Dragon Tree? So Arduin Grimoire and Dragon Tree Press, they were these like basically like the first third-party guys. They were the guys who saw all the early D&D stuff. Were like, we can do that too. And so they would come out with like sometimes these little tiny books that were just like hand typed with errors in them, and like
you mean zines? They came out with zines.
Yes. So, but those early books were just jam packed. Just to the brim, packed to the gills with all these little tiny nuggets of cool stuff. And I can remember looking over those, man, and just thinking, oh my God, this is just the best. This is just as good as the rest of the stuff. And then not seeing that and thinking, man, when I do a zine, I'm going to pack this thing so full of every little, little bit. And that's just how I'm going to do all my zines. I want them to just drip with content. I'm not big on charts. I'm not big on, these 4 pages of roll for this. There's plenty of that out there, and people do it better than me. I want to do like little plot hooks and magic items and adventure, locales, and I want secret societies and NPCs, and hey, here's a list of 50 odd locations in the Underdark. Let's go over here and just no rhyme or reason, just jam packed full of stuff.
And it feels like and it feels like that's the way the industry is going. Oh, not the industry, but like the field is going. If you look at the recent,
I think we're seeing a couple different design sensibilities coming together, but it is really cool because what Levi's talking about is really where OSR and indie meet together, right? It is the story forward, lore, narrative process that really is what people love about the OSR scene. And Tables and Chunk and Crunch all support that, but they're not the thing itself, right? And so we see the indie scene coming at it from the entirely different direction, where they're like, we just abandoned all the rules and we're just going to focus on the narrative. Whereas the OSR is like, we're going to give you the crunch so that you can get to that part and not have to figure it out. But I think we see stuff like this being like, I mean, I could drop this in any game and play around with it and not have a thing. Levi, I would say if you're going to ever make a table, I just want a table of like kick-ass names. Like you generate all the most bizarre names you could possibly come up with. 3 different columns. I'm going to roll a D20, you know, like just 20 names in each one, a preface, middle name, and then a thing. And that's the Levi Combs table right there. Is just the most insane names you could possibly come up with for items. I think would be the best, the only kind of table I would ever want to see you make. No, I had a blast. I'm already a backer. I'm looking forward to being able to continue to share this with people. We'll have some more thoughts coming out in a review later on this week. But Levi, tell people again one more time what's the best place to find the project and how can they best support the work that you're doing in the future?
You can find the magic and shit. The zine you can find it's on Kickstarter. If you go to my Twitter page, which is just Planet X Games, really easy to find if you're in the role playing community. Or you can go to my Instagram page, which is It Came From Beyond Planet X. Or you can go to Facebook, which is just Planet X Games. Any of those places, you'll find links for it. And for all of our other stuff too. You know, we've got 9 projects. If Kickstarter lets us make that many projects, we have 9 scheduled for this year. And most of them are zines. So most of them are going to be affordable. They're going to be easy reads. Again, jam-packed full of content. We're doing our first Dungeon Crawl Classics module this year with the blessing from Joe Goodman, which is good. Really excited about that. We've got a couple small setting zines from writers who aren't me, which is good. Lessen the workload on me a little bit. But then we've got a Halloween zine coming out. There's a lot of really cool stuff on the horizon. And then this is our flagship zine right here, the Phylactery. This is issue 2. I just got the copies in just a couple days ago. And as you can see, it's if you've never backed it, it's just again full of jam-packed full of stuff. So modules, zines, adventures. It's on.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked out Planet X Games, please do. Tons of great stuff coming out from them. Enough stuff to keep you occupied for years. Dean, real quick, where can people find you online?
Instagram and Twitter at GeekusDean. GeeKus Dean.
And Kieran, same to you.
You can find me on @TailsPeak at Twitter or Tails the Dark Peak at Facebook. There you go. Awesome. Forgot that for a minute.
We have a bunch of great stuff happening next week. On Monday night, we're not going to make a big deal out of it, but we are playing Morkborg because a bunch of designers who haven't played it wanted to, and Alan Barr said he would run it for us. So we're doing that on Monday night. Come back and join us. If we hit 200 followers or subscribers on YouTube between now and then, which we're like 10 off, we're also going to give away a copy of Morkborg live on stream, so feel free to come back for that. You do need to follow the channel in order to be eligible for that, but we don't do subscribing or anything. We're just going to grind through the partner before we try to do any of that kind of crazy stuff. But go follow us on YouTube if you're not already. We're at +1EXP across all social media platforms. We are a crazy little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. All we want to do is help support indie RPG creators getting their projects out into the world through creating content or supporting them directly financially. Please go check out our +1 Forward initiative. And during the month of February, it's Zine Quest. It's a big event online for people who make small content, just like we've been talking about tonight. We're challenging people to take up the 28 days, $28 pledge, which is committing to backing one project a day for $1 or whatever your local form of small currency is, because backing that project gives that person one more dollar to help make their project a reality, which is a big deal, even if you don't think it is. But it also helps people discover that more, and when you share it online afterwards, it helps drive even more people to it. So don't underestimate the importance of backing it. We will see probably 300 plus zine projects go up next month on Kickstarter. If you can help support some of them, even just $1 or so at a time, we would love to see that. Again, I'm at Tony Vicinda across all social media platforms, and now we're going to wave at the screen as Levi sits in the dark.
Oh, sorry, they're